I was like, well, no big deal, man. Let's just see what's going on. And I walked in, and 3 hours later, I walked out with like a $25,000 sale.
Yeah.
And I got I'm not even joking, I got in the truck and I'm like, holy crap, this stuff works. I looked at this house and I'm like, I'm literally gonna leave my pretty quiet Wednesday morning and drive an hour and a half in traffic for this.
Yeah.
And walked out of there with 40 grand. Blows my mind the amount of Optimum guys.
Yeah.
I sold one guy 5 Optimums. He never asked for the next prices. It was $170,000. Failure is the only thing that forms you. Success doesn't.
Yep.
You getting a yes, man, it feels good. But you getting a really difficult no,
Yeah.
and then owning why you did, not just blaming it on the homeowner, that's what turns you into an amazing, but spend 5 minutes after every call.
Jared,
What's up?
So good to see you. Thank you for being on the show again today. I was going to say, I think you were like one of the first 5 or 10 guests we had, and we were doing just old school audio. It was my cell phone up to a recorder.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So, anyways, excited to have you on. For those who haven't met you at a CertainPath event, can you share with everyone your name, your company name, and where you guys are located?
You bet. My name is Jared Dean from Fix It 24/7, and we're in Charleston, South Carolina.
Very good. And what do you do for them these days?
Yeah, I am a salesperson, comfort advisor, field advisor. Yeah.
And you had a fantastic year last year. That's why we're having you on. In addition to your great story, share with everyone what kind of numbers you did last year.
Yes, don't have them right in front of me. It was about 3.4 million.
Yeah.
And that was all, a blend of marketed leads, straight leads, and tech turnovers.
And what was your closing percentage on that?
64%.
64. And you were doing this is the part that I really was like, 3 days a week?
Yeah, 3 days a week.
3 days a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty good numbers for 3 days a week.
Yeah, thank you.
So
appreciate it.
Want to dig into the sales process.
Absolutely.
And learn from you.
Absolutely.
And before we do, though, I love telling people stories, and you got a hell of a story.
It just keeps going.
It keeps going, and it rocks in lockstep with us a lot.
Oh, I love it.
So share with everyone, like as a young guy, you were working right away, right?
Absolutely.
As a kid. What were you doing?
Yeah, so when I was 12, my parents had split, and a guy in my church I remember the day, he came up to me in the back of a little tiny little church, 20, 30 people in it, and he said, hey, do you want to be my son's helper this summer? I had no idea what that even meant.
Right.
Looking back, I'm like, I said yes. What was I even saying yes to? I don't even know. But it was better. It was just not going to the babysitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom was a single mom, worked a lot, and which meant I would have been at the babysitters a lot, and I didn't care for them. And so I just said yes. And, his son picked me up at 6:30 in the morning and brought me home at 10 or 11 at night. He was a workaholic, still is.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt that I was in love with this guy's daughter. And so that's probably why I said yes.
Yeah,
back.
probably.
I think I just put that together for you. Thank you, Bob. So that was a way that I was able to pursue her.
Yeah.
And then, make a whopping $50 a week for my 80 hours. And
for your 80 hours.
It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't the 50s.
Right.
It was not a lot of money,
Right.
And, but yeah, I had a ball, man.
Yeah. So how did that progress from there?
Yeah, I learned how to work. I had no idea what God was doing in my life, but my dad kind of bounced, did bounce, and he wasn't close. And then God put all these guys in my life. So I had the owner of the company, I had his son who was about 20, 21.
Yeah.
He was a blast. We ate lots of hot dogs and super big gulps and burped and, did all the stuff you do in vans sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
I learned the trade in my teenage years, and every summer, weekend, holiday, you name it, I worked. And,
it was all heating and air, right?
All heating and air, sorry.
Yeah.
And there was some electrical involved in that and some plumbing as kind of time went on. Just say yes to everything. You know how that is.
Sure.
And by the time I was 16, I was a senior in school. And so I was allowed to get out at noon and go work. So I had, my own van. I'd go run service calls. I looked like I was a solid 9 to 12 years old. So I'd show up and people would be like, where's your dad?
Yeah.
No, I'm it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look back now and I'm like, why did people let me work on their house? Like, I wouldn't let me. Anyways, so I got to run service calls and do all that stuff at 16. We did some new construction. We did some replacements. We did service calls. It was in the Northern Virginia area, so we sat in a lot of traffic and basically said yes to everything.
Right.
And there was never really a business plan. It was just do good work.
Yeah.
And be honest.
Right.
And work hard.
Yeah.
And after that, long story short, I did get the girl. So my wife, she toyed with me for years. I had no idea what was going on. She didn't like me. which is why she acted like she liked me all the time. But I just didn't put it together. And then I got mad one time because she was flirting with somebody else, and I decided not to talk to her for a few days.
Okay.
And her dad came to me and said, I don't know what's going on, but you all need to figure it out. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, she's driving us crazy at home. So that's how her and I got together. So I didn't know, Bob, but I learned the takeaway. That was my biggest sale by far, if you've ever met Kelly, right?
That's right.
We just celebrated 30 years, but that was my first
wow,
big sales.
Congratulations.
Sales learning there.
Yeah.
Was the takeaway. You got to risk it all sometimes.
That's right.
And bought that company when I was about 23.
Right.
Had no idea what I was doing. I owned a company, was not a business owner.
Yeah.
By far. Failed forward for a few years, never missed a payroll. But, mortgaged and sold everything to make payroll sometimes.
Yeah.
And just kept doing good work. Tried to grow, still said yes to almost everything.
Right.
Was doing heating and air, electrical and plumbing.
Yeah.
All together, a lot of big custom houses and things, and then ran into you guys.
Yeah.
Got invited to a profit day. This was
Was this a postcard? Did you get the postcard?
I think I ignored I did ignore the postcards.
Yes.
And then I got
Thanks
a phone
for
call.
reading my stuff.
Yeah, that was you. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Bob.
That's
Anyways.
right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Bob.
Yeah.
I went to Profit Day on April Fool's Day.
Oh my gosh.
2004.
You've got to be kidding me.
Which that's coming up. April Fool's Day, right? And
2004.
And I was not going to buy. I was like, we'll go for the free steak lunch.
That's right.
And we're going to learn some stuff. And I really did need to learn some stuff, by the way. And by noon, you know how Profit Day works, I was just like, holy crap, how do these guys know so much about my business? Maybe I'm not a unicorn.
Right.
Maybe everybody does have the same problems.
Right.
And I went to leave, and the guy that was running Profit Day just nonchalantly was like, not for you, huh? And I was like, no, thank you, I appreciate it. And he was like, hey, just real quick. And then I proudly can say it took him 2 hours to close me. But I did have a blank check in my pocket. So it's kind of like I knew.
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast. And we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of CertainPath, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
So how'd that business do? Like how'd things progress?
Great. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing.
Sure.
Right away, I went to a GM class.
Right.
I don't even know what a general manager is.
Yeah.
I had no idea what a P&L was.
Right.
Or balance sheet. Seemed really boring to me, quite honestly. And
Right.
they are. Let's face it, right?
Yeah.
And I went to a GM class, which radically changed my life at the Drury in St. Louis.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I sent my salesperson at the time, who really just looked at plans and did takeoffs.
Sure.
Poor guy. Great kid. Sent him to the Comfort Advisor class. Carl DeBinney actually taught it.
Yeah. Who's come back and is here.
I know.
again.
I just
That's
ran
right.
into him. It's wild, man. Good times. And I learned what a P&L was.
Right.
And then I departmentalized my financials, got
Yeah.
on, a software system back then.
Right.
And then realized that I was losing money in the electrical and plumbing.
Yeah.
Gave both of those away like overnight. I had 2 buddies and I just said, I don't want anything for these numbers. Just they're yours. I just need them out of my periphery.
It's hard to do. 'Cause a lot of people are like, I can make this work. Well, you know how
That's our ego, though, right?
But
our ego learns,
for
hopefully.
For sure.
Find humility before it finds you, or whatever, right? And so I gave those away, focused on HVAC. And within that year of joining SGI, we went from $2 million, a lot of it custom new construction, fun stuff.
Yeah.
The next year, I told every builder no right away. As soon as, I just kind of took SGI for gospel. I was done. I had all the drive. I was 27. I had all the drive, good intentions, proud of my team, loved my trade, no idea what I was doing. I'm just going to do what you guys say to do.
Yeah.
And we really did. We implemented as much as we could, as fast as we could. And we flopped that 2 million new construction sort of stuff to service and replacement within a year. And we went from 2 million losing 0.5%, because now I knew I was losing,
right.
Never knew before, to 2 million, 17% net in 1 year, which was wild to have money in the bank.
I was going to say, what is this?
What do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we do with it? And that was just fun.
Yeah.
It made it enjoyable. And I think the most enjoyable thing for me was just knowing if I was winning or losing.
Yeah. Right. You finally know, like, I'm putting all this effort into it. I'm dealing with all these people. I'm mortgaging everything to do payroll before then.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, I'm winning.
Yeah.
And then everyone else gets to win too.
Yeah.
That's the neat thing, right?
100%.
When you see employees getting to
100%.
do things that they never
Yeah, they're
thought.
buying houses and 4-wheelers and stuff, and you're like, "This is awesome. I'm happy that we're living this life together."
Right.
Yeah.
So how did that progress? How did that business? I know you were in the franchises for a while.
Well, everybody kind of went franchise, so
Yeah.
all the cool kids were doing 1 hour, right?
Right.
And we kind of felt like we were supposed to do that as well. And
Yeah.
so end of 2005, we signed to buy a 1 hour franchise.
Yeah.
And right then is when RSI launched as well.
I was going to say, that's
Yep.
how I really remember you, when you were like original roofing member. Yeah.
That launched.
Yeah.
We had a home improvements department.
Yeah.
What a mess that was. It was like drywall repairs, fencing. We built a house one time. What the heck, man?
And first of all, why did you just, after you'd given away electrical and plumbing, I guess you figured now I have a
kept
model
that.
to follow?
Well, I kept the home improvements because my brother-in-law worked for me. I didn't want to fire him.
Oh,
So I
gotcha.
kept the home improvements.
Yeah, but you got into the roofing, so that was because your brother-in-law then.
That was because of him.
Oh.
RSI launched. I got the letter. I literally, maybe within 5 minutes, wrote a check.
Yeah.
And became one of the founding members of RSI.
Yeah,
So I was like,
gonna
it
say,
worked
maybe you were
over
the
here.
Maybe you were the first member, other than Mike Fiesel.
Yeah, it was definitely early.
Yeah.
And so we did 1 hour in RSI right at the same time.
Okay.
And we were that for a few years. And then we added on Mr. Sparky that was local to us. They kind of burned out.
Yeah.
And we bought him. And then we bought another Ben. Or we bought a Ben. And we bought a few extra territories. It's called getting fuzzy now, but a few extra territories.
Right.
Yep.
And then you were kind of done. Like you went to Nashville and decided to be like do music and stuff. What was that? Share that.
What
that's
was
part of your
that
life.
all about? That was just part of the ego journey.
Yeah.
Meaning, we were the American dream.
Yeah.
Big house, 30 acres, dozen
Yeah.
horses, sunset over the barn. Every car, motorcycle ever wanted, 6 rental houses.
Yeah.
All the things we're brought up, taught that this is what it looks like to be a successful person.
Sure.
Very involved in our church, gave a lot of money, didn't want anybody to know, but I knew we were giving a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whatever. And something inside of me was like, this isn't it. Like there's more to this whole life thing. And,
Right.
and even though I really should have, and I was happy,
Yeah.
but I was unfulfilled.
I was going to say, it sounds like you were not fulfilled, right? Yeah.
And I started I'd been in church my whole life, but I kind of looked around kind of going, I don't know if this is what is in this. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't know if this is what Jesus meant.
Yeah.
And I've been on that journey for about 15 years, just
Yeah.
going, hey, what did he really mean when he said, follow me?
Right.
And is it just church attendance? Is it just being popular at church? Is it just, tithing, blah, 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 all the things. And
Yeah.
so that's a whole nother podcast. But it led us through a lot of things.
Yeah.
One of them was to Nashville.
Right.
I had done some music stuff, just happenstance. It just happened. And it was a really cool part of my story. But fell in love with Nashville.
Yeah.
And then was like, I think we're going to move there one day. Now that's nuts.
Yeah.
Grew up in Northern Virginia, D.C. I mean, everybody's here. We're never leaving.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was just like we had this moment happen in Virginia where I was an absentee owner.
Yeah.
Some stuff happened in ministry that was just like, man, it was really just tough to get through. And I felt like, yep, this is it. We're just supposed to move to Nashville. And so we did, man. We moved to Nashville in November 2012.
Yeah.
And we were in Nashville. We're never going to be in ministry again.
Right.
We're going to just do some stuff like in Christian music and mentor artists because I have a huge heart for artists. And they know nothing about business, by the way.
Not at all.
They're tradesmen too.
Yeah.
They just,
right.
and they don't know how to run
Use
their
their
business.
hands differently.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nobody really cares for them. There's not really a certain path for all these artists.
Yeah.
They just, if
They
they
get taken advantage of. You hear about it all the time.
they do. And so but God had different plans. I ended up back in youth ministry in Nashville, and then my companies naturally didn't run so well without me in Virginia.
Sure.
And that was a hard pill for me to swallow. I'd been there since I was 12 years old.
Right.
And so 2013, they went sideways, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I was arrogant, and I really thought they could run without me.
Right.
And God really wanted to see, I think, God wanted to see what I'd do.
Yeah.
And I had an investor that said, great, let's fix them. I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I know this amazing GM.
Yeah.
And he's in Georgia, and I've already talked to him. And this investor was like, no, you've got to move back.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to move back.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I'm not giving you $500,000 unless you come back and fix it. And I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I just said, man, I don't think I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And he lost his mind. I'd known him since I was a teenager. Really great guy.
Yeah.
He lost his mind, and what the,
Yeah.
this is your kid's college. You're going to lose all your real estate. You're going to lose everything. This is your legacy. And I just said, actually, I don't think this is my legacy.
Right.
Well, what do you think you should do? I said, I think I'm supposed to lose everything and make $40,000 a year as a youth pastor in Nashville. And he was like, that's mine, And so that's what we did. We lost everything, the farm, literally.
Yeah.
Both of them, and all the rentals, and the cars, and
The stuff.
the stuff.
It's
and
all
I was
stuff.
more fulfilled than ever. But I'm not saying it wasn't hard.
Oh yeah.
But it was following a path that we really felt like it needed to be. All of that stuff needed to be removed so we could find out who God was saying we were.
Yeah.
And it was hard, man.
Sure.
Our total lifestyle turned reversed.
Big change.
But I'm richer than I've ever been
Yeah.
because riches isn't quantifiable
Right.
with decimal points.
I was gonna say you had all that stuff, and how fulfilled you weren't at all. Right.
It's cool stuff, though.
Yeah.
And so, that was 2013, 14, 15. That was brutal. And then I got an opportunity right in the middle of that to move to California and help a buddy out with a company.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, I was praying this morning, and God gave me your name. You're supposed to come out and help me with this company.
And this is George Donaldson.
This is George.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, George. Well, A, I haven't talked to you in like 3 years.
Yeah.
B, I don't know what God you pray to these days. But I assure you, we're on different God planes. Like, not different God.
Yeah.
And I literally hung up with him. Like, that was weird.
Yeah.
And I'm literally in the middle. This is serious business. I'm in the middle. It's the spring, 9 years ago maybe. I'm in the middle of bankruptcy court was done. They decided to take all of our rentals, which that was kind of my plan B. Like, maybe if they could let me keep my rentals,
That's your.
then I could kind of,
Yeah.
I'm figuring all this out because God, I don't need to bother you with this, God. I've got my own plan.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're an idiot. And I think he talks to me like that. Maybe he's kinder to you, but I'm pretty sure with me, he's like, seriously, dude. And I'm like, and I texted Kelly, and I'm like, weirdest call from George.
Yeah.
He wants us to come to, blah, blah, blah. And Kelly, who was never ready to leave the farm that we had and everything else.
She loves the horses.
Oh, yeah. She texts back and goes, I think we're supposed to do it. And I was like, well, don't start packing. Let me get home from work, and let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, and she was like, I think God wants us to do this, man. So this is literally 4 years after we moved to Nashville, 3.5 to be exact. And our Nashville community was tight.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Nice, big youth ministry that was healthy, an amazing leader, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And But it was just, and then here's what the crazy thing, and I love God things, like when he just like screams rather than whispers, you know?
Yeah.
And we're thinking about it, praying on it, and you know, sometimes when you're praying about it, you're really just trying to think on it.
Yeah.
And convince yourself and tell God no.
Sure.
You're not really praying.
Right.
And the next day the phone rings and it's the bankruptcy court and they say, hey, Kelly, we just want to let you know that we're taking your personal house too. And if that call had come like 2 days earlier,
Yeah.
it would have landed a whole lot different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was really kind of God to like put it on George's heart,
Yeah.
who I hadn't talked to in several years,
Sure.
to call me and say, God said to call you.
Yeah.
And in that moment in life when I'm losing everything because, and turning it where you usually turn it, which is, man, maybe I was never good to begin with.
Right.
Maybe this was all just a perfect storm, and
Yeah.
I'm actually worthless.
Yeah.
I don't have worth. I probably should have never really been as successful as I was. I was kind of playing a part maybe, and
Yeah.
I should never lead again because look at the failure that I am. And failure is an action. It's not an identity. You can identify with it.
Sure.
But it's just a thing you do. It's
Right.
not who you are. But I didn't know that in that moment. I was really dark time as I really felt like a total failure. And I was like, you know, in certain circles, you would have definitely pointed at the Jared Dean and said, oh man, he really failed. And I did. I failed a lot of people. But God loves you so much, me in that moment so much that he had George call the day before. So when that phone call came in, it was not only confirmation to say yes to something that was outlandish.
Right.
I mean, who moves to California? Side note, that's another podcast.
Yeah.
And sorry, Californians, but you know what I'm talking about. And 3 weeks later, we lived in Southern California.
Yeah. And you were Riverside.
We were in Riverside.
Yeah.
And
What was that experience like?
wild.
Because that location had been a 1 hour.
Yeah.
And it was
our
like-
Palm Springs was like Jim Abrams' first company.
Yeah. And the Riverside one was a constant headache.
Holy
they
moly.
could never make money.
Yeah, and really ARS had bought George's companies and put their ARS Riverside together with George's Riverside. High George Donaldson culture with ARS-ness.
Yes.
And so I walked into just wild, 200 employees.
Yeah. And your role was what?
I was director of operations.
Yep.
So I worked a lot with the GM, who became it's the most best friend out of left field I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
He's here. He's just not feeling well, so I haven't seen him yet, but
Yeah.
he's at Expo. It was grueling.
Yeah.
You know, it's culture issues.
Right.
It was, we had, as a group of companies, we had 98 Home Depots. So I had to learn the whole Home Depot bit, which
Yeah.
is super complicated,
Yeah.
from a guy that just loves to go, like, make people happy.
Right.
You know? We had 18 install crews and 5 field advisors and 20 salespeople and 3 operations managers and a sales manager and 3 install managers and a whole wing for accounting. And
Yeah.
it was wild.
It's a big company.
But you know what? George had faith in me and brought me into something. God restored my finances through it.
Yeah.
And it literally, I walked into something with so many decimal points that I'd never seen, because my companies were never bigger than like 6 or 7 million. They were never a big deal.
Yeah.
They were just my deal. And then within, maybe a month or two, I had so many people asking me for advice and questions and leaning on me for how to do it. I mean, then the answers are there.
Yeah.
Because I've been in this for so long, and I've
Yeah.
asked guys like you all my life, and I've gleaned all this information and stored it. Didn't even know it was stored
Yeah.
in here. And then what God restored through that whole experience was like my value,
Yeah.
and I can lead people really well, and
Yeah.
I'm not worthless, and
Right.
And then he restored some of our finances in it too, which was really cool.
Yeah. The family whole was out. The kids are out there.
They all
you guys
came.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
Because moving's hard.
Yes.
But they all another podcast.
Yeah.
But just there was value in it for all of them.
Yeah.
Because life's journey has value in it. You
Yeah.
just sometimes choose not to find it. But Southern California was wild.
Yeah.
You have installers that sit for an hour in traffic to get to our office. They sit for 3 hours to get to their job. They work for 10 hours doing an install, and they sit for 3.5 hours to get home every day of their lives.
Wild. just a different animal.
It is a different animal.
And that business really grew, though. It did
yeah.
really well. How did it grow when you were there?
I don't remember, Bob. It was a lot. There was 35 million, I think, when I walked in the door. I think it was bigger when I left. I don't even remember. It was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I remember shutting my laptop after 12 months, and it was like 28,000 emails or something. And I was like, I don't think this is me.
So what was your next step?
I moved to Charleston to start a church because I'm an absolute glutton for punishment.
Yeah, because church is real easy business, right?
Yeah, I wanted to get out of HVAC, which is so hard, and get into church, which is so easy.
Yeah.
An unquantifiable product, Jesus, he is quantifiable, but not to decimal points. Well, some churches, but that's another podcast. But anyways, so my buddy was starting a church in Charleston, and we got to that end of that first year at right time at ARS.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be here forever.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a project, 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
And we just felt like we were supposed to join my buddy in the church in Charleston.
Yeah.
So we moved back to the East Coast.
Right. And how was that gone? How was that experience?
So moved to the East Coast. Almost on my way, I called Rebecca.
Yeah.
It was about a week or two ahead of time. I was like, hey, so crazy story. I am moving to Charleston to start a church. I've been out here with George. He's like, yeah, I heard that. I was like, so I need a job. I need a gig. And I've always just passionately believed in what you guys have done. Like, it's not like what I'm supposed to say on the podcast.
Right.
I lived it.
Yeah.
I lived what's possible when just a kind of normal HVAC guy who doesn't even know a ton can come in, grab some pieces and parts, put it together, and achieve some things that I had never thought I could achieve. Yeah. And then obviously in those achievements, it turned me into somebody. Like it formed me and molded me. I didn't know that's what was happening. But
sure.
So I mean, absolute belief. Like you gotta sell me on what your company does.
Right.
And she was like, interesting, let me call you back. I bet you we can find a place for you. And then I had a roofing, RSI.
Yeah.
And so she called me back and said, hey, would you be down to be like the roofing coach? And I was like, absolutely. I loved my roofing company. It was like 3 employees and $2 million a year. Are you kidding me? And 23% net.
I was going to say,
it was the easiest company I ran.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And she was like, great. When do you want to start? So I started, I think it was May 10th.
Yeah.
It took us 10 days. We took an RV trip from West Coast to East Coast. Started May 10th as a coach.
Right.
And had no idea what that meant. I had a lot of ideas in my head of what it could be, but I mean, I've never coached or consulted. And it was good, man. A lot of travel, which it was fun.
Yeah.
And I had about 100 roofers.
Yeah.
And they're my people because I'm just, I'm just an installer at heart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a technician guy, really.
Right.
And that was a blast.
Yeah.
That was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing experience. I got to teach and do sales classes.
Yeah, I was going to say, building trainings and all sorts of stuff. Then you got to see the other side of it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Trying to help people that are like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, well, let me show you how to. Yeah.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So the next step, though. The journey is obviously we get back to you in the field.
Step?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
because you had the church thing going on.
Yeah, so the church thing was kind of growing. So through COVID, good times.
Right.
The church grew because we kind of stayed open.
Right.
And so a lot of people came. And so the church grew rapidly.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. It's just like when a company grows rapidly. Right. Like you don't have systems in place or processes or people or it's the same thing.
Yep.
A lot of people say, well, church is a business. And I mean, I don't agree.
Right.
I get where that statement comes from.
Yes.
And a lot of them turn into businesses.
Right.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
I know there's organizational aspects.
Yes.
I mean, Jesus was organized.
Right.
Whatever. But you got to be careful with that statement. So, but it did get really difficult to the point where I was like, man, I really need to start spending more time on it.
Yeah.
And I had to, unfortunately, resign from SGI.
Yeah.
3 years ago, September, I think was 3 years.
Has it been okay?
Yep.
I lose track of time.
Temecula.
Yeah.
Was my last, and might have been 4. I don't know, dude. I'm losing track.
Yeah.
It's because you're getting old. That's why I'm losing track. I hated it.
Yeah.
Abigail had just come on as overseeing all the coaches, and she's a phenomenal leader. And I was just like, man,
Yeah.
it's hard to quit her.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she's just she's just doing a great job.
Yeah, good people.
You know, pouring into us as coaches, and hated to leave, and then left, and then right after that, hit a riff with the church plant that I was with, and
right.
That guy, my buddy, he decided he kind of wanted to be the guy,
yeah.
which happens a lot
sure.
in churches, and so we went through a church split.
Yeah.
Not planned or welcomed at all, and it was long and grueling and painful and didn't need to happen. And then everybody's like, let's start a new church. And I was like, let's not.
Yeah.
That sounds like a horrible idea. And but we just kind of kept hanging out, and that turned into a church.
Okay.
And that's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I just kind of was like, well, I'll just sort of help out.
Right.
Like I'll come, I'll go, I'll speak when you need me to, but I'm not planning a church. You're barking up the wrong tree, man. Like, I'm not the guy for this. Like, I'm toast. And simultaneously, the last time I spoke at an SGI thing, a couple guys came up to me and said, hey, we're in Charleston, man, let's have lunch.
Yeah.
And that was Med and Rudy Box.
Oh, yeah.
Air Max.
Yeah.
And I started hanging out with them and started just kind of consulting them because I was getting out of that church and that I was in. And one thing led to another. They wanted to, the dad decided he wanted to sell sooner or later.
Yeah.
I called George and said, hey, man, I was praying about something and God told me no. I said, hey, so I've got this little business I'm working with.
Yeah.
And, they're looking to, get some investors involved. The dad wants to kind of head out. What do you think? And he was like, let me think about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of small.
Yeah.
Charleston's a small market.
Sure.
And he said, we'll do it if you run it. And I was like, man, I wasn't looking to.
Yeah.
Heck no. I'm like, dang it, George, why are you doing this to me, And I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
Because I really genuinely love George.
Yeah.
And I love, he takes really good care of people.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he also challenges the GBs out of you at the same time.
Yeah.
Which we all need.
Mm-hmm.
And I've unknowingly grown and developed under him.
Mm-hmm.
In ways that he didn't even know was going to happen.
Right.
I just feel like that happens.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to let down Air Max because I was working with them.
Right.
And so we did that.
Yeah.
That was and the church thing, like, sprouted up at the same time, and I was like, this is stupid,
You got a
man.
lot
Like,
going
I don't
on.
want to do both things, and kind of did.
Yeah.
So it was running the company, doing a lot of integration and
It was doing well.
rebranding and everything. Yep.
Yeah.
And really hard to do, grow it,
While rebranding.
rebranding and plumbing stuff, and
Yeah.
it was awesome, and it's still doing great.
Yeah.
So I get to be a shareholder with that private equity group that
Yeah.
George is involved with. George is running, and that's doing really well.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many companies it is now, maybe between 6 and 10, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But and then general managing the acquisition there in Charleston.
Yep.
And I was about right at a year,
Yeah.
and we're doing great. We just had a couple $1 million months, and but I just I don't know how to say this pretty, because people are going to watch this, right? Are you recording this? But I just hit a wall,
Yeah.
and from the outside looking in, people would probably go, that doesn't make any sense, but I just did.
Yeah.
And I think
It's a
we
lot
need
of
to be really honest
responsibility
with
on
this.
both
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew there were successes, but in my current scoring system, which is broken, there were too many failures and too many things that could be right that weren't right yet. And so all my dash lights were going off.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you call any of it. I don't know if it was just a panic attack or emotional thing or whatever, but
Yeah.
I just had a moment, and I just was like, man, something's up. And I just called George and said, man, all my lights are on. And
Yeah.
usually I can take those Christmas bulbs and I can unscrew some of them.
Yeah.
I can put some in a box for next spring. I
Right.
can put some in a box and delegate them to you. And in that moment, it was just like,
Everything was on.
everything's on.
Yeah.
And I just said, George, I don't know if I should be doing this.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, my ego is having to come into grips with letting somebody down that I love.
Yeah.
And look up to. And of course, I want to be looked up to. And now I'm I'm giving up the opportunity for people to look up to me. But I just wasn't my authentic self. I was losing me.
Yeah.
And my family was getting the scraps. And in that moment in life, you know, when you're younger, you go, damn the torpedoes and full speed ahead because you know what? People look up to GMs. People look up to business owners.
Yeah.
People look up to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be that.
Yeah.
And we think it's like, well, I'm supposed to manage or I'm supposed to own a company.
Right.
It's like, no, you're supposed to be who God made you.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes us 40, 50 years to figure it out.
Sure.
That's the journey of
course,
life, right?
Of course.
That's the gift we get out of failure. And George was like, well, you know, we'll figure this out. The crazy thing about George is like, is he will put a goal in front of you that's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then you'll just end up achieving more. Sometimes you'll hit the goals.
Yeah.
But when you don't, what you expect is how I was raised. Shame culture, right?
Yeah.
There's never anything teachable in my household. It was always like, how dare you? What were you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, most of us, boo-hoo, but most of us grew up like that. What you expect is for George to blow his top and hang up the phone.
Right.
Because that's what good leaders do.
Yeah.
Normal leaders do.
Normal leaders. Normal.
But he literally takes a deep breath and you hear it. Okay. What do you think we should do? I don't know, man. I mean, at that point in time, this is a year and a half ago, I said, I've actually been selling in the field some. And I think I like it.
Yeah.
It's a giant distraction as a GM.
Yes.
But I think I like it.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, we need it. We need solid sales there in Charleston. Why don't you just do that?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then you think there's going to kind of be, hey, I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw better for you.
Yeah.
Hey, you know you can achieve more. Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And he just would kind of go, I think he went, so man, the Redskins are looking pretty good this year. And you honestly just kind of look at the phone like, how did we shift gears so fast?
Right.
From honestly a place of shame
Yeah.
in normal culture to a place of just like, oh yeah, that's right, we've been buddies 10, 12, 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
And he does that with everybody. It's not just because I'm his friend. And so he allowed me to step into the comfort advisor role,
Yeah.
which, Bob, I got to tell you, you've been doing a year and a half. I
Yeah.
guess that's why we're sitting here. Long intro.
I like it.
Sorry.
That's why. No, this was.
Wait,
I
long
knew this
form
would
podcasts
happen.
are cool now, right?
That's exactly right.
We're like Joe Rogan. Do we have 3 hours?
We can do as much.
I
yeah.
did skip lunch, by the way. So
We'll get you
Can
some.
we get? Okay.
Yeah.
So September, I hit the wall. I just got in front of the team and just said, I have been outside of my authentic self for too long. I can do this GM thing. I love it. I love turning around companies. I like to fix things.
Yeah.
Furnaces, people, companies, but to manage them,
Yeah.
especially with high growth and a lot of integration and a lot of things turning, I can do that for a bit. It's exciting for me, but man, I'm failing you as a GM.
Yeah.
And I'm outside of my authentic self for way too long, and I need to kind of find my authentic self again.
Right.
And oddly enough, I found it because I had to go run sales leads. And I had never even ran sales leads,
Right.
which is, anyway, that's a whole other part of this.
We were
but-
talking about that. I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't realize. I assumed that at some point maybe you had when you had the HVAC company, but no. Right.
No, I mean, I sold stuff as a tech before Airtime.
Right.
But once I joined Airtime, I had the sales guy, and I sent him to St. Louis, and he came back and did it.
Yeah.
And I stuck with it, because why? Because the natural progression of a successful human being is to be a general manager, not to
Right.
do what you enjoy.
Right. No, it's true. The business, someone has to.
And you
got to
run it.
because you fill every role to
And I owned it,
replace
so I filled it. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I never actually did it. I
Yeah.
taught it,
Yeah.
I trained it a
You knew-
lot.
Yeah, that's right.
but I never actually did it.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, can you remember the first couple calls? You're like, wait a minute.
Holy crap, yes. I had hired an unbelievable salesperson, like Rainmaker, Culture Index.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And he came in for 2 or 3 days, and he just he kirked out. You know how it happens.
Oh yeah.
And he ghosted, and I had 3 sales. It was August.
Oh.
3 sales
In South Carolina.
in South Carolina,
Yeah.
which is like
Now you-
Haiti, you
Yeah.
know?
I was 100%.
And Hades.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, Service Titan, got these juicy calls on the board.
Yeah.
And then I see we have GPS, trucks at home. And you know what this is.
Yes.
Finally ask a question that he can't not answer. I forget how I did it. And he calls and he's like, hey, yeah, I'm just kind of trying to, and I was like, I see your truck moving now. You heading to the office?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm heading to the office. And I was like, all right, man, come on in. And I tried like crazy.
Yeah.
Because he really just needed to give it 2 or 3 weeks. And then he would have been like, especially first paycheck.
Exactly.
Making so much more. Anyways. So then I go back in, and that's one of the things that just deflated me. I was like, man, I finally got a good sales guy. Recruiting is just, we all know. And it was just so like triggering.
Yeah.
I think that lit the fuse, honestly.
Yeah.
So then you go, well, I could cancel these sales calls, let everybody down, because I haven't run a sales call. I don't even know how to work this iPad. I have no idea how to work Service Titan.
Right.
I got management login. I don't even have a sales login. So I'm going, and I grabbed the Persuasion system that we're using.
Yeah.
And, version 2055.
Right.
And an iPad.
Yeah.
And I headed to this first sales lead, and I'm literally driving out there like, who am I?
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast. And we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of CertainPath, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
This is so dumb. Because Jared Dean doesn't, I manage salespeople.
Yeah.
So my ego's like having a hard time.
Yeah.
But I remember my first sales lead, Bob. I knocked on the door, and the guy answers the door, and it was, and he goes, hey. And I saw the look on his face, which was like, who are you, kind of?
Right.
And I was like, hey, I'm Jared with Fix It 24/7. He's like, oh, right. He's like, yeah, I don't know why my wife set this up. I mean, we're not buying anything. And, in that frame of mind, I was just kind of like,
awesome.
Lots of internal words that pastors don't say.
Right.
Somehow. And, but, it's no problem.
Yeah.
It's a giant problem.
It's a giant problem.
I just left the office, and it's a crap show back there. Somebody's to be running it.
Yes.
And I'm here.
You're right.
Because your wife set something up.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, no big deal, man. Let's just see what's going on. And I walked in, and 3 hours later, I walked out with like a $25,000 sale.
Yeah.
And I got I'm not even joking. I got in the truck, and I'm like, holy crap, this stuff works. Because I've been telling all y'all and teaching all these sales classes for decades.
Yes.
That it works.
Yeah.
And I know it does because a lot of people in SGI have used it and it works.
It works, yeah.
But I'd never, officially now I can be full disclosure, I had never actually used it.
Yeah.
So I just, I was just like, that felt good.
Right.
I got to meet people.
Yeah.
They liked me.
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah.
Which is nice. GMs never really win.
Yeah,
like we hear about all the losses.
Yeah.
All the upset customers. We never talk to the good ones most of the time.
Yeah.
And I secretly kind of fell in love with it as an obligation of a general manager with only one sales guy.
Yeah.
And then I was winning, and I was getting attaboys.
Right.
And so then when I hit the wall a couple months after that and transitioned into sales,
Yeah.
it was like, no problem.
Right.
This is actually really fun.
Right. And you're doing 3 days a week?
Yeah,
And then
I'm
do
doing
the
it 3
church
days a
and
week.
that, yeah.
And then, it gives me more time to do stuff with the church.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're finally able to accomplish kind of the both worlds that you've lived in that you're passionate about. You get
Yeah.
to do both, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to switch gears.
Sure.
Because I'm a focused guy.
Yeah.
I hyper focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm on a sales lead and, my phone's going off, I care less.
Yeah.
And I mean that, if you're my wife, you're like, that's hard for her.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, no, I am with these people for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So like, I can't just switch gears.
No.
This is the same thing when I was GMing with the church. It was
Yeah.
like, I wasn't doing church stuff during the week because it's just not in my mind. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm solely focused on this.
Yeah.
And sometime during Saturday, I'd shift over to sermon prep.
Right.
And then Sunday was a sermon day and a giant nap in the afternoon. And then Monday was like game on GM. So it was like there was never a mix. It was just
Right.
a tension.
And there was never a break. Like, you never had a
I was
break.
7
man.
days a week for a
That's
good
why your
year
lights
there.
are all on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was definitely part of it.
So doing the 3 days and this sounds like you get a little more of a blend,
Yep.
some more of a normal life again.
It is.
So, all right, I want to dig into
Okay.
the process
All right.
and how you do it. Let's start off. Well, let's go. Maybe it's a marketed lead, right?
Okay.
Maybe And what kind of research, or do you do any research on the homeowner, the home
Yeah.
before you go?
Yeah, I do. There's mindsets first. I can still come up with a really crappy mindset, man. Like
Yeah.
now that I'm just a sales guy, I can talk about how bad the leads are now. It's great. It's great. Fortunately, none of my no sales are my fault.
Right.
Which is awesome.
It's pretty nice, yeah.
Anyways, no, the mindset piece is huge, which
Yeah.
it's really cool that I've gotten to step back into the truck, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I get to experience that again.
Yeah.
And get a deeper understanding, which just helps me train people better.
Right.
Like I think if I did a sales class now, it would be even that much better because
Yeah.
literally yeah, man, I totally get what you're talking about. However, what if you did this?
Right.
Not just a theory. But,
Sure.
But the mindset piece is huge. And so yeah, straight lead. I'm always looking at Zillow,
Yeah.
seeing when it was, when it changed, the house changed hands. How long were they there?
Right.
I'm looking at pictures of the house because I'll judge just like everybody else out there.
Sure.
I judged one 2 weeks ago. I looked at this house and I'm like, I'm literally going to leave my pretty quiet Wednesday morning and drive an hour and a half in traffic for this
Yeah.
and walked out of there with 40 grand.
Ooh.
So it's like, I keep,
Yep.
you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Never prejudge.
You're human.
You never
Yeah.
prejudge.
Sure.
So, all that stuff is data.
Yeah.
And it may be helpful and it may be really harmful.
Right.
And I at least know enough of that. But yeah, I look at Zillow, I look at pictures.
You listen to the call or find out what they're saying.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Not very much.
Yeah.
I think that would be valuable. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't do it because it's not valuable. I don't do it because I just forget to or something.
Sure.
But there will be sometimes, if there's some notes on it, I'll go, I'm going to listen to that call. I
Yeah.
wonder if they wrote that down wrong.
Right.
And make sure that date is correct.
Right.
But all that to say, Bob, like that is all like, gosh, what would you call that? Those are little teeny data points that kind of go into the jumbo.
Yeah.
The gumbo, I mean.
Yeah.
The casserole. But I don't like walk in on any of them.
Yeah.
Like, for all I know, those are irrelevant.
Right.
So I'm always using them as like maybe ways that I can ask a question to get them to say it in their words.
Yeah.
Something that I assumed was real.
Right.
But I'm never just like, oh, these people are going to buy because of this, and this is a slam dunk.
Right.
Or these people aren't going to buy because of this and this. I'm just going, oh, that's interesting. They moved here about a year ago. All right, well, I'm not going to go, so Zillow said you moved in a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go, how long have you guys? And if they say a year,
Yeah.
I know it's true.
Right. No, it's just good. It's good.
or whatever. So
Sure.
But a little bit.
Music, no music when you're driving up.
Yeah,
And do you call, by the way? Do you call them?
I don't.
Okay.
I think it's a good strategy. I just don't.
Yeah.
I may start
Yeah.
because you said that, and there might be a reason that because I've thought about it before and I've trained that before, but I've
Yeah.
just never done it. At a time or two, but not as a religion.
Yeah.
What was that other question you asked?
No, I was just like, do you music? Do you like a quiet? You get your mind right?
So, I, oddly enough, don't listen to a lot of music, even though I would have trained people to listen to music. I've been big on podcasting.
Yeah.
Because I spend so much time in the truck, and I've been on just such a spiritual journey of like, hey, what did Jesus really mean?
Yeah.
By You're My Church. And I haven't deconstructed Christianity. Well, let me back up. I haven't deconstructed Jesus or God in 15 years, but I've definitely deconstructed Christianity, or what we would call Christianity today, and the church for sure, because I just want to follow Jesus, become more like him, and do the things he did, and treat people the way he did.
Right.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts for that.
Yeah.
But I don't really need to get hyped up.
Sure.
But I will say this: there is this thing I do that has become very helpful. So the shift in mindset is when I see, like, my what's the thing in your car? The map?
Oh,
CarPlay?
Yeah.
When I see it like 3 or 4 minutes, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
I turn it whatever, I pause whatever, and I just pray. And it's not super scripted, but there's a few points in there that I pray, and I don't feel like, I mean, I am reverent to God, but I really feel like he would rather us talk to him like we're in a relationship with him.
Yeah.
Not like he's something in the sky that he might have a lightning bolt for me.
Right.
And so I'm just like, hey, God, man, what's up? Like, you know where I'm heading. You know the people.
Yeah.
You know what they need.
Yeah.
You know if we're going to do business or not together.
Right.
Because you know everything.
Yeah.
And you're then and you're now and you're in the past. And just help me to love this family really well, to understand them.
Yeah.
Like, the Bible says your spirit lives within me. Like, your spirit will literally is like, Christianity isn't just a religion or like a belief, but like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I would ask that your Holy Spirit like guide me when I get there.
Yeah.
Like, give me courage to ask questions.
Right.
That I need to ask, because some personalities are just kind of scary for me. I have a scary dad, so sometimes I can run into people that
high D.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And so I pray for courage that I would be able to ask a hard question, or like a qualifying question, or very creative, or just a straightforward question. Like, well, man, what exactly is I'm doing here, man? It sounds like you really don't even want to buy an air conditioner.
Right.
And that can shift the whole conversation, but I got to have the whats to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll pray for that. Like, man, give me courage, give me wisdom to like figure out what's really wrong. Give me creativity to come up with some creative solutions for them. And God, just please keep me in check, that this next few hours would love them really well. Like, they would meet you through me.
Yeah.
And that I would honor you. Nothing in this next 3 hours would dishonor you. Because honestly, I grew up knowing how to persuade people.
Sure.
As a kid.
Sure.
In reality, I grew up a brat knowing how to get what I wanted.
Yeah.
When I was younger, it was kicking and screaming on the ground, just buy this kid a toy.
Yeah.
Well, that kicking and screaming just turns into different tactics.
Sure.
I still want my toy.
Yeah.
And so I know that the ungodly side of me, my shadow side, could definitely use the persuasion system, my personality, to get a higher average ticket.
Yeah.
And sell people stuff they don't need.
Yeah.
Or, right?
Yeah.
Use fear tactics. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, you guys might want to get a hotel room tonight. That thing might blow up. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy, but anybody can become
Be
that
that
guy if you're greedy enough or whatever.
Sure.
We all have our shadow sides. So that's that little part at the end that I just go, God, just please help me please help me just honor you with my words, my actions while I'm there. Amen.
Amen.
Sometimes it's 10 seconds. Sometimes it's 3 minutes. But that is definitely my thing.
It gets you in a good headspace.
It does.
I love that. So
and then I just release control to him.
Yeah. And so you pull up, you get out.
I pull up. I never park in the driveway.
Right.
I never park going down the wrong side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like guys do that, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, it looks sloppy to me.
It's kind of like, it makes people go,
what's wrong? Yeah.
Anyways, I'll always park maybe across the street if I'm going the wrong way down. Truck pretty much in clear view. And I do it on purpose, so people are like, you could have used the driveway.
Yeah.
We did all the whole things, right? Truck placement, floor savers.
Sure.
And I think you just got to be a little bit careful with those, because our best practice groups, especially ours, has been preaching that for so long that some homeowners have seen it for so long, and now it's like,
it's not
I know what
anymore.
you're doing.
Yeah.
It has to be authentic.
Yes.
And I authentically don't want to block the driveway.
Right.
I don't want Sally to have to park on the street.
Right.
Because I was a jerk and don't care about anybody.
Sure.
And so most people kind of get it when you do it anyways.
Yeah.
I really don't say, is it okay where I parked?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not shaming that, but if you're doing that currently,
Yeah.
watch out for maybe a percentage of the people out there knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then your percentage is going down.
You're turned off.
And then they have to go find another company that may or may not treat them right. It's not just about your closing percentage. It's about who the end customer ends up with because you turn them off.
Right.
You're releasing them back to the wolves, right?
Right.
You're the only company you know can like treat them well.
Yes.
So park it usually, try it within view. I park out of the way. Most people probably get that hint. If they bring it up, I go, yeah, I just, it's just an old habit of mine. I hate blocking the driveway.
Yeah.
And who knows, my truck will leak oil or something for all I know. It's fairly new, but I don't know.
Yeah.
These things break. I'd feel so bad if I got oil in your driveway.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, dude, that's really thoughtful of you.
Yeah.
I put the floor savers on. I don't talk while putting them on. I always taught that, but I just personally don't. Hey, I'm just going to go ahead and put these on because I'd hate to. I just put them on. And, I do get a certain percentage of people that are like, man, you really don't need to do that. And I was like, I know I don't.
Yeah.
But it's habit because I've messed up enough carpets in my life.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since I was 12. It's my opening to say I've been doing this since I was 12. Without me giving a credibility statement.
Yeah.
I'm giving my credibility through an answer.
Yes.
So I don't just go, well, a little bit about me.
Yeah. Right.
You need to learn a credibility statement.
Yeah.
But you don't always need to recite it like you learn it.
Yeah.
You respond to a question with, well, I've been doing this since I was 12, so here's what I've learned.
Yeah.
So
very good. So you're in there, you give that little credibility statement.
Yep.
You're starting to do some warm up. Like you observing form, you're looking at what what's in the house.
Yep.
You start What's that build up like? What's that conversation like at that point?
Yeah, so I bring an iPad, a yellow pad of paper. I have a blue pen that I stick in my Polo. I hate Polos, by the way. My Polo. I don't clean shave because
it's a new era.
Sales guys do.
Yeah.
Because we've been training sales guys to clean shave for 30 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I really encourage people on the phone to say, yeah, we have a guy that measures up systems. I'll have him come out. I'd prefer not to be called a comfort advisor.
Yeah.
I prefer field advisor if it's going to be anything.
Yeah.
And I don't show up clean shaven. I use a number one,
Is that right?
Also, I hate clean shaving because it gives me bumps on my neck.
Yeah.
And so Polo, belt, shoes, floor savers, back pocket, flashlight, one pocket, phone in the other pocket, yellow pad of paper, blue pen, my iPad, and I use an old school Stanley tape measure that's chrome. I don't use the Binford 2000 electronic digital 38-foot.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like creepy, proud contractors do. Sorry. But just get an old school. You know why? Because homeowners see an old school tape measure and they think old school.
Yeah. When someone's been doing this for some time, right?
And I get the benefit of gray hair since I was mid-20s. But
I
I usually wear a hat because I feel like it's just another level of like, this is a techie guy.
Yeah.
This isn't a sales guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. These are little things.
That's good. This is what we're doing.
I tell Kelly, like, I forgot my blue pen today. My lucky pen. I've got 12 of them, but I mean, this is my lucky pen.
Yeah.
And so...
and how do you start building that rapport?
So
then?
I walk up, knock on the door, step back. I mean, I'm always watching because I have RDF. Mm-hmm. You know what RBF is, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you know what RBF is. Resting face.
Oh, you do?
I have RDF, which is different. Just put it together. Okay.
Yes.
I do. If I'm not smiling, I look like I'm, angry that you left your trash can out. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like the HOA
smiling.
president or something. So I have to be like, and I hate my teeth. So I'm like, anyways. So I try to be natural, knock on the door, they answer it. Hey, what's going on? I'm just me.
Right.
Like, I don't really have a thing. I'm just kind of like, hey, what's up? I'm Jared.
Yeah.
You guys, this is the right place, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I try to get something, that icebreaker thing. If you're not good at it, you can become good at it. Because I was the shyest kid ever in my teens, and I just got good at it. I became so codependent on the affirmation of people that I became an expert at breaking the ice. It's a dirty, dark little secret.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's only because of my brokenness that I became good at meeting people. But I needed to be loved, so I became good at getting people to love me.
Yeah.
So break the ice, which would be, hey, what's up?
Right.
I don't use like good afternoon, Mr. Houchin.
Yeah.
I am a salesperson. Just like, hey, what's up? I'm Jared.
I'm here to close
'Cause
you.
I'm Jared. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Right house, right? Okay, good. Well, I was parked out there, and I was pretty sure you were the right house. But it's Mr. Smith, right? What was your first name? Oh, good stuff, man. Well, hey, I'm here to take care of the air. You guys have some air conditioning stuff. Let me go ahead and come inside.
Yeah.
Like, try to maintain that friendly control right off the bat.
Sure.
Especially the D's, because they're going to be like, hey, it's around the corner.
Right.
You know. So I'm always watching out for those things. And you know, most people, they just kind of bring you in the house. I'm right away wondering if, you know, all decision makers are there and if they have the time.
Yeah. So you get those confirming questions.
I get those answers.
Yes.
I never ask those questions.
Yeah. It just comes up.
It comes up.
Yeah.
I bring it up. It's on purpose.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But it's inside rapport or after rapport.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's up? You know, blah 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 blah. I noticed the thing, you know, and I love the things. The Clemson flag, which I know nothing about college football, but you'll teach me, I'm sure, if I ask, especially if you're a Clemson fan. Anyways, what's going on around here? You know, if there's kids flying around, it's like, look at this amazing group. You know, if the dogs are all over me, I'm like, no, let the dogs out. And I do genuinely like dogs. I'm not faking it. I hate cats, but I will love them on a case-by-case basis.
Yes.
And I don't hate them. I just don't think they should live indoors. But and most dogs and some people. But so, you know, it's just making friends.
Yeah.
And so the rapport building, I guess it takes on the form, you know, family, occupation, recreation, material possessions. You know, I genuinely, here's the thing, man. If you genuinely care about people, you're going to want them to feel good about you because you don't want life to be awkward for them.
Right.
And this has got to be really dang awkward letting some dude into their house.
Yeah.
To talk about something as boring as an air conditioner. We do it all the time and it's normal. It's not normal for them.
Right.
And so I'm genuinely caring. I literally love people and I want to make their lives, I want to make them enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious as what. I mean, I am all about like, how in the world did you get into that?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Right.
You know, and so I'm always looking for something. And some people are boring. They don't have a thing.
Sure.
You know, and they're just like, man, you're so boring. Tell me about that. No, I'm not that curious. But, man, your house is really peaceful.
Yeah.
You know, this is awesome. I go into a lot of houses and it's really crazy. And there's just a peace here. What's behind that?
Yeah.
I don't know. We just have always lived this way.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you find something to get them to start talking.
I'm genuinely interested in them.
Yeah, for sure.
Which helps.
Yeah.
I think you can fake it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder to just actually choose to be really genuinely interested in people.
Right.
And people notice a difference. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's the rapport building thing, the 4-year thing, finding a comfortable place thing. I really don't.
I was gonna say, do you make sure to go sit down, or will you talk?
It's a mix. Yeah. It depends on the personality.
Right.
Sometimes just getting them to talk is a win. I'm not going to stretch it and say, show me your leisure area. You know what I'm saying? Like, I barely got you to respond to hello.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push it.
Right. But you go over what today's experience is going to be like, right?
So, man, thanks for, appreciate you having us out, man. Like, have you guys been using us for a while? Now, I already know this.
Yeah.
I already know history.
Sure.
And so, but I want them to say it.
Yeah.
I want to know their take on history. It's not because I want to manipulate them into a thing. It's because I want to know if what I know of their history is actually true in their mind.
Right.
Because my perception of our history is going to be totally different from theirs. I might say, man, these people spent a ton of money with us. Must have been a great experience. And in that moment, they go, well, we have, but it's kind of been a rough road.
Yeah.
So if I just assumed, guess what happens? Like, I'm off on a limb and it breaks.
Yep.
So I'm always looking for those ways to go, oh, so you've never used this before. That's nuts, man. Why'd you choose us? Like, why us? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Well, my neighbor or this or my mom or, we saw your commercial. What about that commercial? Yeah, but still, you chose something. Like, what about that commercial? Well, you guys actually clean the systems or whatever.
Yeah.
So I need to know who they are for me to later be in a relationship with them and ask them to do something that's risky.
Right. Insignificant.
Don't take it lightly. It's $25,000 or whatever it is.
Right.
So yeah, genuinely curious. I genuinely do care.
Yeah.
I don't want them to use us if they can't afford us, because I feel like I may get to heaven one day and God's gonna ask me questions, or maybe Peter does that line. I don't know, But you manipulated a lot of people to spend money that they should have never spent.
Right.
How are you gonna answer for that?
Right.
I was greedy. I'm a sinner. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
but you're getting these data points. You're getting the information.
These data points.
Right.
Yeah. Keep me on.
That's all right, brother. I'm enjoying it.
It'll be Sunday before we get done with this thing. But yeah, getting the data points, trying to figure out who they are.
And what do you say? Obviously you're collecting information from them.
Yeah.
And I know you talked about, hey, I've been doing this since I was 12, right? What other things do you bring up And I know you asked them what you know about us. Okay, I found.
Yeah, why'd you call us?
Well,
oh, interesting.
Do you
Okay,
interject anything about, again, you and what you've been doing? I've been in this for,
Yeah.
Or is there any more of you soft selling at that point?
I will transition to business, which is, if it gets way too much talking bass boats or whatever, I'll just go, man, sorry, I will talk you to death. Now, it might have been them talking me to death, but I will talk you to death. That's an honest statement. We better get to talk about air conditioning.
Yeah.
What's going on around here?
Right.
And, if it's a marketed lead, they're telling me. If it's a tech flip, I don't want the tech to say a word.
Right.
I'm literally going, hey, what's going on around here?
Yeah.
And the tech knows, don't interject.
Yeah.
Because I want the homeowner to go, well, we had, leaf out here and this happened and that happened. Mm-hmm. And so I will try to get what's happening, which in my mind is like, what the heck am I doing here? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I want them to say it. And if they just go, well, we've been thinking that just maybe on an off chance, we may at some point in time, totally not tonight, but in the next 10 years, I know they're like slippery fishing at that point, right? Sure. Like they're not even looking at the hook. They're just like, somebody had them do this. And I go, okay, well, so you're totally not interested right now. I make very black or white questions to make them take a stand.
Yeah.
And then usually people go, oh, no, well, we're actually interested. Oh, okay. So you're really kind of lying to me before. Or they'll go, no, we're totally not. Like your tech wanted you to come out. We don't really know what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right. Yeah. Now I know I got work to do.
Yes.
Or this isn't, everything's a lead.
Yes.
Everything's an opportunity. Not everything's a lead.
Right.
Can I turn it into a lead?
Right.
And it's for the good for them?
Sure.
Or is it not?
Right.
But I need to make some sort of like commitment level at that point.
Right.
So what in the world am I doing here? Wow, this thing's been breaking. It's been driving me nuts. She's been hounding me to get a new one. I keep putting it off, and we just put another $1,000 into it. And they said, if we go ahead and buy one, that you'll kind of refund that $1,000 back while you're here. And we can. Yeah, I'll totally look at that.
Yeah.
How long have you lived in the house?
Right.
A couple softball questions. Okay, so you guys know how the system runs then, because I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you just moved in, you wouldn't know.
Right.
So you've been here 10 years. That's awesome. The system's 9 years old. Okay, so they replaced it once. Yeah. Good to know. How much did you guys pay? You guys replaced this system then. Do you remember that experience? Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of fuzzy. It was, about $5,000. Okay, great, man. Wouldn't it be nice if there was still $5,000? Oh, we know our neighbor got one. It was 20. Okay, well they're already kind of price conditioned. I'm just kind of looking for that stuff.
Yeah. How do you price condition if they don't know?
It's tough. That's really one that I'm working on right now. That I would love to. If you're watching this and you have a way, call me. Bob's got my number. Because I don't want to price condition. Yeah. I want to genuinely inform them and make them wiser that you get what you pay for, which they already know inside. They just don't want to know it in that moment because they're idealists when they want something. They're not realists. But I want it to be genuine. Yeah. So I if they said, oh, it was $5,000, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. What was that experience? Like, oh, it was great. Oh, that's amazing. What happened to that company? Yeah. Oh, Bob went out of business or whatever. Oh, man, sorry. So then you found us. Oh, it's all coming together. That's why you, okay, totally understand that. Yeah. Gotcha. So, I will sometimes go, man, have you guys been budgeting for this? I don't say, what have you budgeted? How much? Because I feel like people are a little edgy. Sure. And most people haven't. No. But it does at least kind of bring up like, oh, right, we're going to talk about price later. Yeah. And, we've got something kind of trying to have something for everybody. And then I go into credibility. Yeah. Look, I'm old school. I've been doing this since I was 12. Yeah. So I don't walk in and go, this is what I do in my house, because that's my house and it's my finances. Yeah. I walk in, I look at the whole scenario, the whole house, not just what the model number is and here's what you need, but I'm literally going to measure the house, and I do it old school. Like there's apps that do it. I just don't trust them because I'm an old fart, and I was taught by old farts. So I'm like a really old fart. And so I always measure the house. Yeah. It takes me about a half an hour. I'll need to see the indoor unit, the outdoor unit. I'll be under the house, probably up in the attic. I need to check R value, square footage of windows and doors and all this stuff. And it takes me about a half an hour to do a really good job. And here's where I'm trying to figure out decision makers and expectations. Yeah. So if in the conversation, and I have figured it out, the wife is a school teacher and she came home and took the kids to swimming lessons. Yeah. I've also gone, man, that's amazing. Like our son did swimming lessons. How's it been like for your kids? That's awesome. Yeah. Where you guys got to go far? Is it pretty close? That's pretty close. That's awesome. Cool deal, man. Well, later, when we sit down and talk about this, man, I'm just gonna here's how I'm gonna do it. Blah blah blah. She'll be back here in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She'll be back. Okay, great. Well, I might have to drag my feet for an hour.
Right.
But I know then that she'll be back.
Yep.
Now, if he goes, well, actually, she's not even in town right now, I go, no problem. Big freaking problem.
Yep.
It's no problem, right? And I just pivot. And I go, great, well, this is going to take me about a half an hour to get all my, measurements.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do, I don't say what I do, because what I normally do is sell it right then.
Yeah.
That'd be a lie. So I say what I'll do is I'll take all that back to the office. When's your wife back home?
Yeah.
Because listen, man, I've been married 30 years. And like, while you might be able to make somewhat of a decision, you got to talk to her about it.
Right.
And so here's what I'll do. I don't mind. I come out. My time's your time. When she's home, I'll come back. We'll sit down together, and we're just going to do this one time.
Right.
And we're going to choose. You guys are going to build this with me, and you're going to choose, because I'm not going to say this is what you need, because I don't know what you need.
Right.
There's going to be dozens and dozens of different options to go through.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money. It's I call it a project. It's a big project. Kitchen remodelers call it a kitchen project. Mm-hmm. For a reason. It is.
Yeah.
And you're there 6 weeks, right? But I call it a project. And I just go, it's a big project. It costs a lot of money, no matter if you bought the Honda Accord.
It's going to,
The Honda Accord or the Lexus, it's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be worth it
analogy.
for you. Mm-hmm. Because people can identify pretty quick with that.
For sure.
And people like Honda Accords. And I don't care if they buy the Honda.
Yeah.
They never do, by the way. But, and then... I get that way at the beginning of that call, after rapport, during credibility. I know decision makers are there or not, and I can pivot whether it's a reset or not to get both decision makers there,
right,
without saying the words both decision makers.
Right.
And then the other thing is time commitment, right?
Right.
Like, so that's going to take me about a half an hour. Hey, what's your time looking like?
Yeah.
I don't say, are you going to have time to sit down for 60 to 90 minutes? That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But people just don't like that. And
No.
it gives them the heebie-jeebies.
Right.
And then you put up all these sales walls. And I'm not saying you can't tear down objections later and do it. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to have a great time. And so I go, yeah, what's your day looking like?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm home all day. Great. Do you work from home? 'Cause that's the new thing.
Oh, yeah.
Home all day means nothing.
Yeah. Right.
When they're on, they got to clock back
calls.
in.
Yeah.
And they thought it would take 5 minutes because people think they're just going to hand them a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And you can't do good service handing them a piece of paper.
No.
And so they're like, well, I got to clock. I just had one the other day. He's like, I got to clock back in about 11 minutes. And I'm like, oh, no problem. Huge problem. Well, I'm like, no problem.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I don't ask.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. Because they don't know how these things go.
No. Right.
We do.
Yeah.
We're producing, directing, and acting in our own play.
It's true.
And we can reproduce and rewrite and redirect.
That's right.
We don't have to be the same actor every time.
Right.
And so I go, here's what we're going to do. No problem at all. Huge freaking problem. No
Yeah.
problem at all. Here's what we're going to do. This is going to be great. I'm going to drive all the way back here another time to your house. And I'll get all my measurements. You get back on your call. And then I'll try to go over pictures before they get on their call.
Okay.
Here's what I found real quick. Just
Yeah.
so it's setting in if
Yeah.
I found bacterial growth or the ductwork's falling down or, there's
Yeah.
electric wires hanging, whatever.
Yeah.
I try to let them know this is serious. This should happen because, the fish could get off the hook.
And you're doing that, market lead. They just know it's old. Maybe
Yeah.
they think that needs to get done.
Yep, market
You're still-
lead or same.
You're still taking pictures. You're
Oh,
still
heck yeah.
showing what's wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I take a ton of pictures. Yep.
I'm sure earlier, there are hot and cold spots in the house.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
said earlier. How about the IQ? So you bring, who's suffering from allergies?
I don't.
You don't do that. You don't
Sorry.
worry about that.
I don't. I do a lot of the comfort survey questions.
Yeah.
I get all that information because I know how important it is, but I just get it in, I don't know how to say it. I get it in conversation.
Yeah.
I get it in, I'll go ahead and take pictures of everything and we'll look inside of some of the registers and grills and stuff. I mean, a lot of times there's a lot of dust in the ductwork, which, my wife has allergies. And so I've always been really funny about the air being clean in the house, and I've worked on these things my whole life, so I know how gross they get inside. So later on, we'll talk about it, but there's some stuff that you can do to keep the dirt out.
Yeah. But seed.
Yep. And if you say my wife has crazy allergies and homeboy does, the wife's like, oh, so does he.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask it.
Right.
So, I bring up things that are like other people, and then they go, that's how I am. And I go, oh, no kidding. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Right. For
So
sure.
I do ask it.
Yeah.
I just,
not in that formulaic. Yeah. Will you ingrain it within the conversation?
Yeah.
So the next step is then measuring the house and
Measuring the house.
taking all the pictures.
Yep.
And what, like, you do video or just pictures?
I will do some video sometimes, but I really just do pictures.
Okay.
Not to say that video and
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's what you
Mostly pictures.
Yeah.
I use an iPad Pro, takes amazing pictures. I look like a 90-year-old at Disneyland, but you know what? Whatever. You do you, boo.
Yeah. But if I'm not on the conference call, you want to have me walk with you. You try and persuade. Hey, it'd be really nice.
Can you show me around?
Yeah.
Give me the grand tour.
Yeah, and we're friends of that. We're talking. We're not selling.
way
We're
back.
just friends. Yeah. And it's just trying to find things to converse about.
Yep.
So you finish up that process, the measuring the pictures. You okay? Then it's like, hey, can we sit down somewhere? How do you pivot? The next step.
I use notes in my iPad to draw a kindergartner, probably a preschool drawing of the house.
Okay.
Blue lines for the walls, yellow for the windows. You know.
Yeah.
Put my square footage, blah blah blah. I have a Excel spreadsheet that's basically the old Accu size or whatever. I put it in an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I do a split screen on the iPad so I can see both of them. I sit down at their table once I'm done. Now remember, I've gotten time commitments. So if they're like, "Oh no, we're good. We're here all," both homeowners were there. I met both of them. Always build rapport before you do business. And if you build rapport for one and then transition to business and then the other one gets home, don't go right into business with the other one.
Right.
You haven't built rapport with them yet.
Right. That's
So
good
you got to be able to go, oh man, he's
start
told me all
over.
about you.
Yeah.
Or, okay, now I know whose dog she is. Whatever the thing is. You got to make sure that you don't assume these guys are eating out of my hands if he just gets home from work or she gets home from work.
Right.
So find something. Everybody's different personality. Sometimes it's really hard.
Yeah.
But I do say, and if it's both homeowners are there, decision makers, whatever, and time commitments there. You guys got plenty of time for me later, right? Oh yeah, and I do quantify time because plenty of time's 10 minutes for you and 2 hours for me.
Right.
Okay, because I'll take about a half an hour, so I won't be done till about 3:45, 3:50, and then we'll need a good hour.
Yeah, and you'll tell them
Really,
we need a good
we'll
hour.
need a good hour.
Yeah.
Which really means 2, but we'll need a good hour. To go over everything, and if they're like, oh, we're good, if they're like, it's going to be cutting us kind of close, I'll go, well, hey, let me just do this then. I'll take all the tension off and go, let's do this. You got to go to that thing, and then you're back in about 2 hours. Well, I'll get all the measurements. This is perfect for me. Ding.
Yeah.
This is perfect for me. That way I can go grab some lunch. I miss lunch. I'll crunch all the numbers, and then I'll come back. Then you guys will get that out of your head, and perfect. I'll figure out something in the moment to reset, basically.
For sure.
But if not, they're available. Go measure the house. Homeboy shows me around, fishing stories, war stories, golf stories, whatever. Take all the pictures. Talk about, how we do installs if he's there with me.
I was going to say, do you explain why you're taking pictures for the install team?
Yeah, I'll talk about new condenser pad or new disconnect or whatever.
It also gives you time probably to talk about how great your installers are.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would just never really, who knows what happened with Bubba when he did this, but he might have just had a long day. I don't know, but we just wouldn't do it that way if it was us. And then we'll just meet back at the kitchen table, and I take this is specific. I take my keyboard and my yellow pad. The yellow pad's on purpose, and when I walk up to the house, they don't see the iPad. It's behind my yellow pad.
Yeah.
Because I look more old school.
Right.
I don't look like some fancy guy with some fancy gadget that's going to fancily sell them something they didn't know they bought.
Right.
I want, the yellow pad's kind of what's showing.
Yeah.
And so I'll say, hey, I'm just going to put my stuff down here at the table.
Yeah.
So I unclip the keyboard and the yellow pad, and I put it on the table. And that way it kind of establishes we know where he's coming back to.
Right.
So then when I set expectations, great, you guys have plenty of time with me, awesome. Homeboy's going to show me around, give me the grand tour. And then, probably about a half an hour, and then I'll just come back here and crunch my numbers at the table if that's okay. Oh, that's great.
And then you sit down.
So then later I sit down, I crunch my numbers. I don't really need you yet, but I'll be talking to them. They're making dinner, they're doing whatever, or they sit down.
Yeah.
And I'll just carry on conversation while I'm doing my heat load calculation. And you need to have done like a million of them to be able to do that because, you're crunching numbers. And I'll put my estimates in Service Titan at the same time, and I put them all in one estimate. I just put, any ancillary things like duct system or moving the unit or rerunning a line set, and then I'll put like best system, second best, third best, basic in Service Titan.
Yeah.
And that's based off of obviously the heat load calculation that I did.
Yeah.
And then I'll put like a repair discount in there if there was a repair that was done.
Yeah.
And so then my And then I'll pivot. I'll go, okay, man, I think I pretty much got everything for you guys. Are you guys good? You're not too tired? No, we're great. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And, they've given me a coffee or a water, or I've eaten dinner with them or whatever at that point. And kids are climbing all over the place and handing me pizza in my mouth, whatever is going on. It's a party. It's amazing. And I will go, great, well, let's do this. I really love to go through the pictures first.
Yeah.
So then we start with something that's tangible. They don't even know there's a sales system involved because we're just going to go through pictures.
Yeah.
I'll usually pull up my pictures, and when I pull up my pictures, there's usually pictures of like my grandson or a horse at the farm, or my Mustang, or whatever's going on in my life is right there in the screen of all the tiles.
You're a human being.
And then they'll go, oh, who's that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my grandson. Don't get me started. We'll never stop.
Yeah.
And if they've got grandkids, that's great. If they're a couple that doesn't have kids, I'll probably be really sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want somebody to go, man, that's something we're never going to have.
Right.
So you're trying to think ahead, like, are you caring well for people or not?
Yeah.
Or are you kind of a jerk that is your own thing and you don't care how it offends somebody? How are you being experienced?
Right.
So anyways, I'll pull up pictures and I'll go through the pictures with them.
And you're showing them how this is how
Show and tell.
Your stuff is bad.
Yeah. We wouldn't have done this. And I try not to be like, oh man, you're just being honest.
Yeah.
And sometimes you won't be as honest as you would because you can tell that they're trying to pick up on you not being an honest person when really you are.
Yeah.
And it's just their baggage
for sure
that they're handing off to you.
Yeah. You don't want to feel like you're doing scare tactics and all that stuff. Yeah.
No, it's scary enough as it is. Just tell the truth.
For sure.
If it's time to replace it, it's time to replace it.
Yeah.
If it'd be better off for them to replace it, then it's better off for them to replace it. You don't have to embellish.
For
it's
sure.
truth or not,
For sure.
right?
For
and
sure.
if they shouldn't replace it, well then they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyways. So
pictures. Yep.
Go through a lot of those. Talk about replacement of the drain pan, safety switches, interior pictures of the ductwork, dust and stuff. And this is really what kills air conditioners, honestly. People ask me all the time, like, hey, if we do this, like, we don't want to ever do it again. Like, how do we make it last 15 years? And I'm like, well, the manufacturers only want it to last 10. Let's be fair. So you're really getting over on them if you can get it to 15. But here's how you do it. Don't buy junk to begin with. Have somebody install it that actually cares. Like, they're not just trying to get fishing by 2 o'clock. They're actual craftsmen that install it, and that's a personality profile, by the way. And then also keep it clean, and we'll talk about how you keep it clean too. And that's in the beginning. Just dropping those things. You never go to like sell something until it's time to sell it.
Right.
You get people interested in it.
Yes.
You drop little things like, you know what? I'm not even going to get off talking about that right now. I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah.
And then they're inside, they're kind of going,
well, I don't
want to talk about it right now. But okay.
Yeah.
And those are like kind of anxious to talk about it later.
Yes.
I transitioned from pictures to the persuasion system.
Yeah.
So I had somebody ask me last night. They were like, yeah, selling, we saw that, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, be honest, do you actually use the system?
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually use the system.
Yeah.
I don't go in there and I'm just the magical Jared Dean and people just magically buy stuff from me. I'm sorry.
Just put your hands on them.
Yeah, just lay hands on it and it's healed or whatever. I literally, I could show it to you, but it is literally the persuasion system.
Yeah.
It's got all the tabs. I use every tab every time.
Yeah.
I do say I do it on my iPad, which I never thought I would do, but it is applicable now. I think 10 years ago it turned people off.
Sure. Maybe
Even 5, but now I think people kind of expect it. It's
Yeah.
a little bit of credibility with the technology. I used a book at first.
Yeah.
I transitioned to the iPad about a year ago. It's a keynote.
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And I kind of slide from one to one, and I've added a few things that you're not allowed to steal because they're Jared Dean originals. But it sets the expectation. Like,
Yeah.
hey, here's who I am and how I do this.
Yeah.
I try to hit the bullseye in between what your house needs, what's available in the marketplace, and what your situation is.
Yeah.
And there's a 3, what's that called, a vectra or whatever? When the circles collide? A vector scale or, I don't know.
What is that
Somebody
called?
smarter than me knows.
Yeah.
Anyways, the middle is like what I shoot for.
Yeah.
What the house needs, what's available in the marketplace, and what your situation is.
Yeah.
And all those are variables. And so that's really what I do. And I'm really good at it because I've just done it so long. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here to figure out what you need, not what I think is the best whiz-bang thing, mousetrap on the planet.
Sure.
That's kind of the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I go through all the tabs, man. I mean, it's like, it's, the 4 factors tab. It's which helps you price condition some.
Yes.
People look at it and go, $40,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you mean? What do you mean 40 grand?
Yeah.
Well, there's no way we're paying 40 grand for one. Okay, so what? You guys already have a budget then? That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
What's your budget? Grab pen. Always grab pen. Take notes.
Yeah.
Even if you can remember everything.
Yeah.
Take notes when somebody talks.
Right.
Be respectful.
Yep.
Care about what they
Shows
say.
interest.
Okay, so you guys were thinking 10,000. Okay, man, good stuff. Thanks for sharing that with me. Where'd you guys get that from?
Right.
You're not selling an air conditioner in that moment. You're just selling being allowed to be in the boat with a fishing pole at this point.
Right.
And you're praying that somebody brought worms.
Right.
So you're like, that's a gift for you.
Yes.
Follow the gifts.
Right.
It's not an objection.
No.
It's a human being going, WTF?
Right.
Should we throw you out now or waste the next hour? We could go out to dinner, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's a gift when somebody gives you an objection.
Yeah.
It's a place for you to be caring and curious to go, wow, that really triggered this person. I wonder what's going on inside of them right now.
Right.
And so if you just get really good at like 3 or 4 things like, hey, I noticed that bugged you. What's behind that? A caring person a friend would ask that.
That's true.
A salesperson would not.
Right. They'll plow through it.
I think some salespeople would. But, and so those are gifts to me. So the 4 factors tab helps price condition some. Anyways, I go through all of those. There's the 10 things, like, hey, you know what? There's 10 things on here. Some systems take care of them better than others, and everybody's different. I never assume what's best for you because it's your house, your household, your finances. So out of these 10 things, I always ask people, what's your top 2 or 3?
Right.
And you guys are both allowed to have different answers. Actually, most people do.
Yeah.
And I grab a pen. And I write 1, 2, and 3 because now they're like obligated. If I don't do that, I feel like a certain percentage of people will go, well, we like all of these.
Yeah.
But if I literally write down 1, 2, and 3,
You gotta hit
their
it.
mind goes, crap. He's literally we're being tested. Like, now we can't. And so that's there's all these slight little things.
Sure.
It's in the little details. And they'll always do it.
Yeah.
Like 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
And you'll have one guy that just chooses all 10, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, man, I noticed, and then you pick one, you could tell that he wouldn't say, but what, and I was like, anything that's on that list, or you notice, I go, awesome, that's great. Okay, so cleanliness of the air you breathe. Curious, just what's behind that?
Right.
And see, I don't have to ask who in the home has allergies on the front end.
Yeah.
Because I said a little something about it earlier, and
Yep.
now they feel more comfortable with me, and now we're at the table, and I've got a glass of water or a slice of pizza, and now they're going, well, honestly, our daughter does.
Yeah.
How long she had it?
Yeah.
Is it just seasonal?
Right.
Is it whatever?
Yeah.
And man, sorry to hear that. My wife struggled with it forever. I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating as all get out. And I ran into a guy 20 years ago, and I'm just a heat and air dude. Like I'm a duck man. I don't even know what I'm doing. And he taught me about air quality.
Yeah.
And I never even realized that we had a place in it.
Right.
And he taught me about UV lights and about bacteria and what oxidizers do and what certain filters do to keep the dust out, and how smaller dust is actually what gets into our bloodstream. And so I'll talk a little bit about it later, but man, it changed my life. And I've used the same products, the same manufacturer for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Seed planted.
Seed planting.
Yeah.
But you don't just go, oh, efficiency, cleanliness, long life.
Yeah.
Great. Next slide.
Yeah.
You go,
That's a
hey,
tool.
what's behind that? Why is that important to you?
Right.
Otherwise, that's not here's what I need to get across. That's not a sales tactic.
No, you want to generally know.
Like, if you're really trying to get something that somebody needs, you're
Yeah.
genuinely going, why does that interest you?
Right.
Like, and I genuinely want to know how people tick.
Right.
And so, we go through this. Now you've got your D personalities that are like, oh boy, here comes the slideshow. And I was like, I know I hate this thing. but it helps me figure out.
It's disarming. You put it that way.
It helps me
Yes.
not sell you the wrong thing.
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Right.
I'd hate to not use it and sell you the wrong air conditioner, because quite honestly, that's a variable that could happen.
Yeah.
And a D is like results driven.
Yes.
So you just went ding, and he's like, oh, all right. And I was like, dude, I'll just skip over as much stuff as I can.
Yeah.
And I literally go, I talk about that a lot as I go. There's 2 slides that are like Google reviews, insured and back, liability insurance, whatever, and I do talk about all of it. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, and I do this on everyone, I'm gonna skip through these. I talk about them as I go. And if there's one I didn't, I'll go, wow, I'll mention this one. Not everybody's actually insured. There's contractors out there right now with failed insurance.
Yeah.
Gladly do work on your house, and if they mess something up, they'll gladly let your homeowners cover it.
Yeah.
So we're insured, whatever.
Yeah.
I go through that. I hammer on the drug and background testing, big time. That's a whole part of it. I call it, I just say, hey, so I've been in this my whole life, and I've done new construction, I've done industrial, I've done commercial, I've done residential, I've done in-home services. We are strictly an in-home service company. How do I say this nicely? So there's different caliber of guys, and I've been both calibers. And I've been a new construction guy with my muddy work boots and my chainsaw, never smoked cigarettes or chewed tobacco, but like that was my next step, in the evolution.
Yeah.
And, we just don't hire guys like that. Like I look at it this way, like, how you just have some dogs and you're like, you can let this dog inside, that one stays outside.
Yeah.
We hire indoor guys. They're allowed inside. And, construction guys aren't. Like at the end of the day, they're rough and tumble. They kind of have to be in that environment. They use chainsaws, they spit tobacco, they cuss.
Yeah.
They park on the lawn, like it's okay. But
Yeah.
we don't do any of that work, so we can't hire them.
Right.
So I just make a very good A or B, black or white correlation.
You paint that picture.
And, a lot of companies do both because they're just trying to survive. And so, you can end up with guys that were on a job site yesterday, and then they're muddy booting it, tobacco in it, into your house today.
Yeah.
You're just not going to have that with us. We hire a different caliber of guys. We drug and background test our guys. A lot of guys will come and interview, and they get to the end of the interview, and they go, wait, you guys actually drug test? We thought you were just saying that on the phone. A lot of people just say it. No, we actually drug test. We actually do background testing. And, in the state of South Carolina, I love the state. We're pretty free, man. We do what we want. But I think for in-home services, you should have to background check your guys. I could hire a convict yesterday and put him in your house today, and you'd never know it.
Yeah.
You just never know it.
Right.
California's totally different. I did a little job out there for about a year. I consulted a company out there and helped them through some things. And man, it took me 2 weeks to just get a helper hired. Like FBI fingerprint background check for everybody. I hated it.
Yeah.
But I see why. Like, you're trusting me to put people in your house. So you'll never have a druggie. You're never going to have somebody with a criminal background.
Yeah.
And I love people. I'm actually a pastor, so I love people.
Yeah.
But I don't have any place to hire those guys and let them rebuild their life because we don't do new construction.
Right.
So we just send those guys down the road. They get a job somewhere else.
Yeah. And I love it. And they get a job somewhere else. It's just not
Planting
here.
a healthy fear,
Yeah.
which is being a good advisor. Good advisors give people healthy fear of if they went with somebody else.
Yeah. By the way, it's fair.
It's not a scare tactic.
It's a fair concern.
It's data. It's
As I'll tell you, I had a service person, and they stole. And like, you have that experience. You're like, that
It
you're way
happens
alert.
all
It
the
happens
time.
all the time. And people don't think about it because they're just making fast decisions, right? You just
And our job is to keep people from those contractors.
Absolutely.
That's part of our job.
Absolutely.
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast. And we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of CertainPath, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
All right. Then what?
Yep.
You go through all the...
Okay, so we go through every tab every time.
Yep.
Right? And I'm always looking for ones that hang them up, or ones they're interested in, or ones they hate, or ones they disagree with, or if I'm wearing them out. I mean, quite honestly,
It's long.
it's long.
Yeah.
And depending on who you're with, you make it longer. And sometimes it's 5 hours and you're like, wow, that was amazing. And sometimes it's 2 hours and you're like, God, it was grueling. So every tab, every time. Just trying to think. I get to, the last tab, which is any questions, second to last tab.
Yep.
And I ask it like, hey man, I don't ask the other than money, but I just go, hey man, like what questions you have?
Yeah.
Do you have questions about price or cold air, hot air, humidity, clean air, our guys, HVAC, philosophy? I mean, I'm down for anything. Like, what questions do you have, know?
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll have them.
Smiling. Everything you do, it's like,
absolutely.
I'm smiling. Yeah. As I'm getting sold, I'm smiling. Yeah.
And they'll just, and some of them genuinely do, which is a gift, right?
Yeah.
S's are hard, right? What is it? 65% of the people out there are S's, and so they'll yes you right out of the house, right?
Yeah.
So you really got to press into that, and sometimes you'll be like, "Are you sure? I feel like you might have a question," and that's okay. That's caring, whether they do or don't.
Sure.
And you'll uncover them. A lot of our egos don't want questions because we want to get to the price and sell it.
Right.
Sales isn't the yes at the end. The yes at the end only comes with all the yeses before them.
Right.
The yes at the end never comes with the yeses before them. And if you don't look for the yeses before them, you never get the yes at the end.
Exactly.
So you got to just do the long game.
Yeah.
You got to uncover those things. And when somebody's just kind of like, huh, you got to go, yeah, I feel you there. Like, what's behind that? If you don't mind me asking.
Right.
Now, if you've never built rapport, you get kicked out of the house.
Right.
But like, if you obviously are just like a normal, you're being your authentic self.
Yeah.
Whether that's personality or no personality as a salesperson.
Yeah.
C, D, I, S, I don't care what you are.
Yeah.
You're being your authentic self.
Yeah.
Then you can pull that off every time.
Sure.
You can just go, hey, I noticed that you kind of that you just didn't really like that.
Yeah.
Slide, like what's behind that? Or I noticed, dude, I saw that frown. What's going on?
Yeah.
Stick with me. No, be honest. Like, we might as well. I mean, we're in it together. We go way back. We've known each other like 2 hours. and give them, listen, you're giving them permission.
Yeah.
And a safe place, which sounds kind of weird therapy-wise, but you're kind of giving them a safe place to go, we just don't, that one slide said like $40,000.
Yeah.
When would you rather handle that objection?
Yeah.
When would you rather get them listening to you again? Now or after you talk for an extra half an hour and they've never listened the whole time? Because they just can't get 40 grand out of their mind and they know you're going to screw them over at the end.
You're right. Right.
So I all those are gifts.
Yes.
You just have to have the courage. That's why I pray for courage. You have to have the courage to go, gosh, this lady scares the bejeebies out of me, but I'm just going to go, hey, I saw that. What was that?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, you obviously were like a little put off on that.
Yeah.
Just share, if you don't mind, I use my hands a lot. If you don't mind, like share that with me.
Yeah.
Well, I just think, it's just air conditioning. So I don't even know why we have to go through all this stuff. Oh man, I'm glad you asked. Am I? Not really. I'd rather you just say yes 5 minutes after I walked in. I don't even want to do this whole thing. I don't like being an acrobat.
Yeah.
But you make me do it.
Yeah.
But I'll just, you meet them where they are with the goal of bringing them to where everybody needs to go.
Yeah.
You can't just expect them because you're God's gift to air conditioning to come to you.
Yeah.
You might have to move a position or 10.
Yeah.
And then you gently try to move them, or sometimes abruptly try to move them 10 positions or
Sure.
5 positions, and you meet in the middle. And so, I'm always trying to uncover those objections. It's the hallway and the doors.
Yep.
Jim Abrams said that 20 years ago for me. And I just was like, that is it, man. It is like, and he always eloquently said it well, right? Like it's sales is a long hallway and there's doors up and down each side. And at the end, there's a yes and a no. There's no maybe door. And as you're going down that hallway, your job is to through conversation and relationship, I'm probably saying more words than he did, but you're trying to gently guide these homeowners who really don't know what they're doing down a hallway while you're gradually and gently closing each door on each side, the objections.
Right.
So when you get to the end, there's no doors open.
Right.
And I always imagine like Bob or Betty at the end when you're trying to get a yes or no, looking back and she sees this light coming out a door, 4 doors back, and then you're trying to trip this poor old lady up. No, they're trying to grab, for an ankle, and then she gets to the door and slams it, and you're like, crap, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm doing. I mean, it's not just all these obvious doors.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it this way. There's doors that we're going to assume are closed.
Yeah.
And then our ego will walk by him because we're so good at sales, and I sold the last 3. No. Your job is also to like walk by and, hey, yeah, totally, Bob. Yeah, Clemson, blah, 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 blah. That's a crazy door, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, I was thinking about this door. And we go, yeah, no kidding. And you kind of close it.
Right.
You just assume they're all closed.
Yes.
So you're on a fact-finding mission.
For sure.
And it really helps them because otherwise they get to the end and you ask them to make a $30,000 decision.
Yeah.
And you haven't cared enough to really get their mind wrapped around the fears and the triggers, and that's unfair.
Yeah.
You put them in an unfair position.
So
It's
you ask those questions, so that
Trying to
comes
do that.
out. That
Yeah.
comes out. At some point, though, it's turning the...
Yeah, we get to that last
paper,
question. Any
yeah.
other questions?
Yeah.
And then my last slide is like 4 different systems.
Right.
And it depends on which power company we're in. I have different, pages for that, whatever. And it's Honda to Lexus.
Yeah, and how do you deconstruct? You start top to bottom? Are you taking things away? How do you talk about the
I
differences?
do 4 different options.
Yep.
There's no prices on it.
Okay.
It's on the iPad. It's the
Yep.
last slide. Honda's on the right. Lexus is on the left. There's 2 in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically just, like base through Optimum, if you will.
Yep.
The Optimum comes with all the bells and whistles, a little bit less bells and whistles on the next, a little bit less on the next. Base has no bells and whistles.
Yep.
Obviously, SEER rating goes from here to here.
Yep.
I teach them early on that SEER is just miles per gallon.
Oh.
I don't even like saying the word SEER.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of how they sell them.
Yeah.
But like just imagine miles per gallon. You've got a Chevy Nova now. The minimum you could even get is a Honda Accord. So no matter what you do, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So don't feel pressured at the end. You got to buy the whiz bang 25,000 miles per gallon one.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. We'll figure out which one's right for you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people still buy the Optimum anyways.
Sure.
Don't be scared to tell them they don't need to. And so as I'm going over that, this one's 14 miles per gallon, this one's 16, this one's 18, this one's 20 or whatever. You're over here. You're kind of over here off the charts. You're the Chevy Nova. Remember,
Right.
It's 15 years old and it's got a limp. So like
You're reminding
you're at
them
like
of that.
8 SEER, if you're lucky. So no matter what you do, like you're going to be at 14. So you're going to be 40, 50% energy savings no matter what you do. So that's great
Plant
news.
that
That was one of your
seed.
things was energy efficiency. So no matter what you guys do. So then you're relieving tension. Tension's a good thing. You want tension.
Right.
But if you get a chance to kindly relieve tension,
Yeah.
caringly relieve tension, do it.
Yes.
Don't relieve tension because you're nervous and you're a wuss.
Right.
Which is like, I'm sure it won't be 20 grand.
Yeah. Right.
Don't you ever say that. Like if they're like, we're just hoping this thing isn't 20 grand, don't be like, oh yeah, no, I'm sure we can. I'd never do that.
Yeah.
You're relieving that tension because you're nervous in the room.
Right.
It might be 20 grand.
Right.
You jerk. So if it's 20 grand, it's 20 grand. Don't relieve that tension 20 minutes into the call.
Right.
Just go, yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting that.
Yeah.
Because these things are, they're expensive.
Right.
They've gone way up. The past few years, they've just skyrocketed.
Yep.
So, but let's just see what happens. Let's go through it together. We'll find out at the end.
Yeah.
That tension you leave in there. But if you can relieve tension, don't feel pressured to buy the best unit to save money. This one's going to save you a bunch because you're starting off with a Chevy Nova.
Right. Right.
So we'll be good. So I just kind of go right to left, Honda Accord to Lexus, different SEER ratings. This one's single speed, on or off, basically. And you know what? What's up, dude? How are you? Good. Good. This single speed on or off, and you only need 4 tons when it's 95 degrees outside. So 75 degrees and 1,000,000% humidity in Charleston, you don't want 4 tons.
Yeah.
Because it only runs for a minute or two and you never dehumidify the house. Mm-hmm. And so this next one's 2-speed, kind of like an old Chevy 2-speed Power Glide transmission. It has a high and a low, and it stays in low most of the year. It'll go into the high if it really needs to, but it'll just stay using a little bit of electricity most of the year, which helps dehumidify. And then the next one's like a gas pedal in your car, 25 miles per hour, 30, 40, 50, or 100 if you need it.
Yeah.
It dehumidifies the best. It's the most comfortable one. It's the Cadillac or Lexus or whatever you like, Audi, Mercedes, whatever. And some people buy them, some people don't.
Yeah.
It's up to what you guys. Remember your situation we talked about? It's up to y'all's situation.
Yeah.
If you're moving in 6 weeks, you're probably not buying that one.
Yeah.
If you're here for life and you care about clean air and you want the most efficiency and best comfort, that's probably the one you want. But then it comes down to if you can afford it or not, right? So that's up to you guys.
Right.
So there's always leaving those things out there, and people just kind of go, I think it's refreshing for somebody to just like say out loud what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
Why not?
100%.
Why are we hiding it?
Right. Because we're getting there in a second.
Because the more you hide in a relationship, the less you're in a relationship. It's just like your marriage or friendships. You start hiding stuff and you're not really in a close relationship anymore.
For sure.
So yeah, go through that chart. It also has like rebate and tax credit information on it. So these 2 qualify for the IRA and these two don't. We'll go look at that later. And then I get done with all that. Some people care, some people don't. It's helpful. It's only enough information. It's like there's like 5 facts for each system on it. It's not really a lot. It's just enough. It's just the high points. Just a side note, back to when you go through the 10 things and, hey, what's most important to you? Different systems take care of different things and everybody's different. So pick your top 2 or 3 out of this list. Mm-hmm. If you do that correctly and then you go into a curiosity, like effective questions after that, that's interesting. Why is that important to you?
Right.
Hardly anybody ever says that, if that's true. Hardly anybody ever says that. If you effectively question, you get curious about that, it will literally guide how you, without you even thinking about it, it will intrinsically guide you in your communication the rest of the time, unless you're just a total idiot. Because you'll naturally phrase things towards efficiency.
Right.
Not because you're a persuasive jerk, just because you know what's important to them.
Right.
Right? It's just like finding out if they're a bass fisherman. You'll naturally use fishing analogies from then on out.
Right.
So anyways, we get done with the 4 systems, and then I'll go, yeah, what questions do you have about the systems? Well, I think we're good. Okay, so nothing about efficiency. No. Nothing about the warranty here. You're good with that. Nothing about this. No, I think we're good. Okay, so which one do you want?
Yeah.
Oh, well, how much are they? Oh, I was just going to do one, and then like, Bill, I don't get to shoot,
Yeah.
Try to take the edge off.
I was going to say, you're making it a little lighter.
A little lighter.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to pick one or you're not.
Yeah.
Why are you so nervous?
Right.
And you can say no to me. Please don't. But
You say that?
No, but I totally would. I probably do say that actually. I do say because I like to be chosen, honestly. So please choose me. My ego's at stake. No, I do say stuff like that. But and then I just go, okay, well, let's look at prices. And I slide over. I'm always looking at table placement.
Yeah.
It's really awkward when somebody won't sit down. And I had one 2 days ago that I failed to get them to sit down. And it honestly was part of the reason I didn't close it.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't. I didn't get my placement well. And they tried to stand for the whole thing, and then it felt awkward to tell them to stand because she was a super deep personality. Anyways, table placement's important. I can do right or left, but obviously it's a little better if they're on my right because I'm right-handed and I can kind of. But the whole time I've been going through the iPad.
Yeah. Right.
And then I kind of shift the iPad a little bit, but I want them to see Service Titan.
Yeah.
Because they're not secret prices.
Right.
And they're not based on the Mercedes in the driveway. They're literally in my price book, and it updates every day. I don't get to say so, and I don't. And I don't want to say so because then I couldn't say I don't get to say so.
Right.
And I grabbed the yellow pad of paper, which I've been taking notes with the whole time. And on the top, I've written like IRA, Dominion Energy, repair credit, duct work, so I don't forget about the duct line and Susie's. I'll just forget those things, and I'll present, and I'll be like, crap, I just locked in $28,000, but I forgot to talk about the extra duct lines, $1,400.
Right.
I'm just going to give it to them and take the hit on my commission.
Right.
Because I'm not going to be that jerk that was like, oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
So I write my own notes so I don't forget.
And so
$1,400. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I just, duct work would be first. Hey, remember we talked about getting an extra lines? Okay, so that'll be, and that's the first thing on my Service Titan. I scroll up Service Titan. That's the only thing they see.
Yeah.
And I go, so that would be, so we can run a value build, so that's going to be a whole new duct line. It's about, 22 feet, whatever it is. We're going to run a hard pipe half of it, the rest flex. That's going to be an 8-inch line. Probably only needs 6 in there, but let's do an 8-inch line. It'll have a damper on it, so if it's too much, we're able to throw it down. It has R8 insulation, blah, 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 blah. And look, it's going to be too much for her room, so we will need to, but that's a good thing. And it'll have a damper in it, blah, 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 blah. And it's a lifetime warranty on any of the duct stuff we do. So if it ever falls apart, that's totally on us. And that'll just be $1,495 before doing any type of, discounts and stuff. Oh, sorry. Before I do this too, this is me talking, not role-playing, is I talk about our efficiency discount.
Okay.
And I go, hey, before we get into this, and I write that down.
Yeah.
5% efficiency discount. That just is efficiency like my efficiency.
Yeah.
Because, I'm pretty busy. I run around all over the place. I know you guys just want to get this over with, kind of a pre-close.
Sure.
I know you're going to choose me.
Yep.
I am allowed to go ahead and do a 5% efficiency discount while I'm here because, if you guys want to go ahead and do the paperwork, you feel good about us, and you just make the decision while I'm here, I don't have to come back and measure up and do paperwork and stuff. It just saves me time, saves you money.
Yeah.
So don't let me forget that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I word it.
I like it. Yeah.
Just if I can go ahead and do the paperwork while I'm here.
Right.
5%, circle that. IRA, Dominion rebate, repair credit.
Yeah.
And then, in the slower season right now, I go, plus I'll check before we get to the end. A lot of times we just have what's called a spot discount. Essentially, it takes so long to get the best guys in town that aren't on drugs and can pass a background check and can talk to people, not just grunt, and to come in your home and you would say, hey, they're allowed indoors. Like, it takes a long time. And so we got to keep 'em busy.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather take a haircut on the price than lose my best installers.
Yeah.
Honestly, we don't mind even breaking even in the slow months.
Yeah.
And then that way we don't, and they'll be like, oh, so if there's even any other spot discount I can get from the office to go ahead and do this today or do it tomorrow, whatever day I need to fill, then I'll add that on. So that's in my notes on the yellow pad and they get to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't forget.
But you don't bring that up unless you guys really need it. That's
Exactly. The spot discount, no. If it's just a discount, do it at every call.
Yeah.
And so then I would go into any ancillary items, which would be like adding a duct line in Susie's room. Okay, so first thing would be duct line in Susie's room, value bill, blah, blah, 8-inch, damper, yada, yada. That would be just be $14.95. Now, that's before the 5%, just so you know.
Sure.
But and I can't do that math in my head, but it's less than $14.95. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, all right, so system-wise, so that's the ductwork. System-wise, here's where we're at. We talked about all 4 of those. Was there one that you were like, sometimes I'll ask that. Usually, and sometimes they already know, or sometimes they'll go, we're probably going to be this one, and I'll go, yeah, you never know. Let's look at all of them. Yeah. I'm always dropping something that we're looking at all of them, because I don't want somebody to go, why are you starting me with because I said the bottom one. Well, let's go and look at all of them, just for grins. Yep. And so the first one is the optimum, or the best one. And so before I slide it up and write it down, I write system below the ductwork, and I'm going to do 4 columns. I just don't know it yet. Best optimum, whatever. I put the name down. Yep. And I go, okay, and I go to slide it up, and then I go, well, hold on. How much do you guys think it's going to be? And they're like, what? What do you mean? And it's so tense in that moment. We've all waited 3 hours for this, right? 2 hours. And I just go, oh, hold on. Price is Right rules, how much do you think it's going to be? There's a winner and there's a loser. Price is Right rules, right? Like, closest without going over? Yeah. And $1. They'll be like, we don't know. Yeah. I'm like, of course you don't know, so I'm asking. Like, it's totally like, remember, that's the Cadillac. Like it's got the this and the this and the this, and comes with the that. It's like the gas pedal in the car. Like, it's literally like the best air conditioner you can put in with all the indoor air quality stuff. Yeah. How much do you think? And you'd be surprised how many people are like, I don't know, like 30 grand. Yeah. I had this one young couple, and she almost guessed it. They were like 14. There's no way they were legally married and owned a house. I walked in, I was like, where's your parents? Yeah. And then they bought a $28,000 system. She literally guessed it almost to the dollar.
Is that right?
Yes. You know how good that feels as a sales guy? Yeah. To know in that moment that they think the optimum's 12 grand or 40? Yeah. Super helpful, bro. Just saying.
For sure.
And it doesn't matter their answer. Right. It just matters, you've got work to do or not. Yeah, yeah. Or how much. And so I just go, Price is Right rules, how much do you think that is? Yeah. And then I write their answers down. And the one the other day was like it was like $7 grand, and I was like, man, I did not price condition well enough in the last 2 hours. I did see the used Altima in the driveway, and you haven't bought a car in 20 years. But anyways, and I'll go, you're close, but not. Or I'll go, man, you're not even close. Yeah. What do you mean? It's like over twice that. Yeah. That's my chance to just deliver the emotion now. Right. And the price still isn't out. Yes. Because our brains and our hearts and our insides need to deal with this to make a decision. Yeah. They're being honest when they say, hey, let us think about this, and we're going to make a decision later tonight. And it's indecision. Our job is to help with indecision, not sell stuff. Right. Or close sales or objection handle, like keep your seminars. But anyways, that helps in that moment, relieve some tension. Right. It's going to be okay, guys. You're going to buy an air conditioner today or not. Calm the frick down. Nobody's dying, right? Yeah. And then I know where they're at. Yeah. And they'll go, well, we bought one 15 years ago. It was $9,000. And I wouldn't doubt if it was $30,000. Yeah. Okay. And I don't give any clues. What do you think? Yeah. And she'll go, $30,001. All right, ding, ding, we have a winner. Yeah. And then I slide it up. Oh, the best one with the this and this and that, recap real quick, 5 seconds, 20 words, is $32,412. Yeah. And then, we've got the duct line. Add that in there together. And remember, I do have that efficiency. Oh, we've got the repair credit. You always almost forget about that. Take away the repair credit if it was a tech flip or something.
Yep.
And then, my efficiency discount. Now remember, that's if we can go ahead and you guys are like, you know what, we're just doing this thing. We don't want to mess with it anymore. We've been kicking this thing down the road too long. We're tired of getting air conditioning prices, and you want to go ahead and do it. I can do the paperwork on here. It's 5%, which is, that's a lot on this. So that's $1,500. I think that's good math. So repair credit, this and that. So really, it's not $32,000. You end up here, and then we've got the $2,000 IRA, and we've got the $600 Dominion Energy.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, I've got the payment. So I'm still talking. They're not allowed to quite gasp or say no yet. But I've heard the gasp, or I've heard the, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or that's the one I want, whatever they do. And then I do the payment math off of the price, not the one after the rebates.
Right.
And then I go, and really, if you guys, a lot of people don't really want to take their cash out of the bank, because you never want to put somebody in a situation where you go, here's how much the payment is, and they go, well, I really want this system, but I don't want to be known to need financing.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not a successful human. You don't know how they grew up or who's
Sure.
in their ear. And so you got to say things that make that keep the tension and the shame off of financing.
Yeah.
And so I'll go they're not allowed to talk yet. I just go, which is this and that, and the payment would be, because a lot of people, even if they have 30 grand laying around, they don't want to take the cash out of the bank.
Right.
The payment on that would only be I remember this, like $409 or something, $400.
Yeah.
So which would you rather do? Just pay for all cash, or maybe half of it, or the whole thing payment? Half cash, half payment, pay for the whole thing out of pocket. What are you guys thinking? That's the one for you? And then shut up.
Yeah.
That's me.
And then you're reading the body language.
And if they go, you're like, holy crap, they might buy an Optimum. You know what I mean? And they do. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
More than most people would think they would.
Right.
The Optimum's not just in there to price condition.
Yeah.
It's in there because it's a pretty dang good system, and some people really want it.
Well, yeah, some people are top line
You
buyers.
never know.
Right,
Yep.
right.
And then, most people are like, dang, that's a lot. We never thought,
Yeah.
Or they don't show those cards. And that shows something in your relationship with them. If people won't show their cards, you need to work on rapport building and relationship building.
Right.
Might not be your closing tactics, might not be your price presentation. It ain't your company, that ain't your leads.
Right.
It's your relationship building ability.
Right.
Because if people won't show their cards, they don't feel safe.
Right.
And you're not safe.
Yeah.
You need to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm not safe.
Yeah.
I need to become safe for people.
Right.
Just own it and then be better at it. But if it's a no, sometimes certain personalities will go, okay, how come? Like, why is that a no for you guys? Because to me, that's circling the airport, not just going to the next airport. Mayday, find a new airport. I'm so nervous right now talking about the Optimum.
Right.
And I think we're screwing people over with, we've got all this stupid stuff in our head.
Yeah.
I go, well, curious, and it's different for everybody. Always relieve that tension because everybody's different.
Yep.
How come it's a no for you guys? And use your voice inflection. How come it's a no for you guys? Mm-hmm. And they'll just go, wow, we just don't know how long we're going to live in the house. Yeah. You guys said 2 or 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, yeah. If I were you, I don't know if I'd be looking at that. Just release the tension.
Sure.
They ain't going to buy it,
Yeah.
so don't try to close it.
Right.
They might go back to it.
Exactly.
If you say, no, don't buy it.
Yeah.
But just take the tension out.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, well, look, the next one is this. You lose to this, you lose to that. It goes down to a 2-stage. Still a great system. Remember, you got to shove Nova now. So don't be the sales guy.
Yeah.
Just be the advisor. And then I go through the same thing. The duck line doesn't change.
Do
same
all the
price,
math right
do all
there.
the math again.
Yep.
Get down to the bottom of that. The payment's $80 different or whatever it is, which to some people they go, well, why wouldn't I just go ahead and do the best?
The best one,
Or
right.
some people go, I really need that $80 a month. I don't know their finances, or I might because they might have shared it with me because we're
Right.
friends now.
Yep.
And then I, kind of do the same thing. And then this one ends up only being $320 a month rather than $400. Does
Yeah.
that fit better for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Done.
Yep.
And then they'll go, yes. And I'm surprised at how many people, even though I've taught this for 20 years, I am surprised at how many people buy on the first or second one.
And then that's it. Don't even ask about the third one.
Blows my mind the amount of Optimum guys.
Yeah.
I saw one guy 5 Optimums. He never asked for the next prices. It was $170,000.
Ooh.
And he was laid up on the couch. He was not a nice guy. He's just the most direct D I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
dang,
you've
looks
seen
like
met a lot of direct
Oh
Ds.
yeah. I was like, man, it looks like something happened to your leg. He's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, well, then we're not going to talk about it. I just kind of came. I mirrored, almost made myself sweat mirroring, and then I measured his house. Took forever.
Yeah.
He's watching
That's a big
Fox
house.
News the whole time.
Yeah.
Effing this and effing that and these dang, it was wild. It was wild. Huge house. And he's laying on the couch because of his leg, and super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he wasn't getting her involved.
Yeah.
She was awesome. But I just went for it, and I was like, well, you might as well just sprawl out on your couch. And he's like, I don't give a what you do. And I literally was like almost cheek to cheek with this guy, laid on his couch with my iPad in my areas.
Really?
And just went through it with him. And he's like, I don't need all this. I don't need all this. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We don't need all this. But I'm going to stop on this one slide. I stopped a lot.
Yeah.
Because you have to hit
Yeah.
all the things.
Yes.
And then at the end, he's like, I don't need to know about all those. He's like, all right, let's do it. I'll have the office call you next week. And I was like, no, man, if you're going to do it, are you serious about doing this or not?
Yeah.
Because he's a D. This is the courage part I'm talking about.
Right.
I've never talked to anybody that way. And I was like, well, no, man. I mean, this is actually if we do it.
Yeah.
This isn't if we maybe do it next week.
Yeah.
Are you going to do this or not? It's up to you. I don't really care either way.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I'm doing it. He D'd up. And I was like, I knew you'd D up. Then he's like, this just wasn't my natural self. But
Yeah.
he goes, yeah, I'm doing it. He's like, Cheryl, I need a credit card. He's like, how much do I need? And I was like, at least 70. And he's like, the one with 70 grand on it. Who has that?
Yeah.
And he ran it.
Yeah.
And then he looked at me and he went like this. And remember, we're like cheek to cheek on the couch. And he went like this, and I grabbed it, and he pulled me close, and he said, don't you me over. And I was like, I got no intention of doing that, man. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same stuff every time.
Sure.
But he stopped on optimum.
Right.
If I had gone in there going, oh, gosh, it's 5 systems, and he's really seemed like a jerk, and I took out parts of the system
Yeah.
and went right to base, he wouldn't have bought from me.
Right. Because he's not a base buyer.
He's not a base buyer.
Yeah.
And guess what? You never know who is and isn't until you give all the options, and your job isn't to pre-qualify and be a wimp. Your job is to do the same thing every time. And I do it, dude, I do the system every time exactly the same way.
Like you said, you sold that $40,000 system, that $30,000 house.
I never thought. And they were great people. They were surprised they got approved. I think they were thinking they wouldn't get approved.
Right.
Because when it went through, they were like, oh, kind of like, crap. We were hinging on not getting approved for financing to say no, No, but optimum, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. I don't care if I give all of them out. It doesn't bother me. I'm not trying to close every one.
No.
I'm just curious why that's not the one for you.
Right.
And then handle any objections. Like at that point, they're going, all right, well, let us think about this.
Yeah.
Which, guess what? I understand. And I care about. And it's a lot to think about, especially if I'd had 3 coffees and went too fast, or if they were disconnected making dinner, or the kids, they didn't get all the stuff. And you have to, yes, it's a closing strategy to go, I totally understand, what exactly is it you need to think about? Yeah, that makes sense. But is it a carrying strategy? Yeah, if you're carrying, you're literally going, man, I totally get it.
Yeah.
We went pretty fast. Tell me, what are some of the things you're thinking about? What are the things you'll think about later?
Yeah.
And if they like me, they're going to answer that. If they don't like me, that's my fault. I didn't do a good job on the front end.
Right.
They're not tire kickers.
Yeah.
They genuinely need to think about spending $20,000. Most of us heating and air guys would never spend 20 or 30 grand on an air conditioner.
Right.
But then we're mad when they don't.
Yeah.
When we don't even help them.
Yeah.
So I just get curious again.
Yeah.
And I might close the iPad,
Mm-hmm.
kind of acting like I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And or I scoot the yellow thing towards them, the pad of paper towards them.
Sure.
And I just I clarify my writing because my handwriting is a train wreck. I clarify some of that. I'll just circle the actual price and the payment or something, or just the payment, not the actual price.
Yeah.
And I just go, yeah, man, I totally get it. So for you two, what is it you guys are thinking about? Because I'm insinuating everybody's different, and I'm just really curious, and I am.
Yeah.
But if I go, so what exactly is it that you need to think about?
Right.
That sounds different than man, I totally get it. For you two, what is it you two need to think about?
Right.
That is a 10,000% different question.
Yes.
And so you've got to master those little communication things.
Yep.
And if you care, you will.
For sure.
Because you'll be mad when you didn't care for somebody well.
Right.
And you put them in a position that's not fair for them.
Right.
And then they later on get to thinking about it, and life happens, and they go, well, maybe we should call, my aunt used the company, and then they go with them. And then you might end up looking like a cheat,
Yeah.
but you're not.
Right.
You just look that way.
Right.
So I just get curious around why they're saying no. And back to Jim Abrams' hallway, like it's like there's a yes or no at the end. I hate maybes.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit of a wuss. I'll allow some maybes, but only because I know it's actually a no.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything that comes back. I don't, and maybes would come back.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Every
I don't really have anything come back.
Yeah.
I might have some follow-ups. I mean, there's one or two, but they're a rounding error. They're not like nothing you can track. So I'm a yes or no at the end of the call kind of guy.
How about like those, hey, other bids? Boy, it's a lot of money. I thought this was $7,000. It's $37,000. Yep. What do you do to deflect on that? Or
I'd really like to talk to some other guys too. I've got dozens of reps at this point. I don't run a ton of leads. Like, I haven't run a lot this year. We've been slower, and so if I was running 2 a day, 5-6 days a week, I'd probably be better at those. If I find out that they are getting other bids, I find it out in conversation. It's part of my expectations.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a wuss about it, man, because I'm not a closer.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I am.
I was going to say.
But I'm really not. I'm not a hard closer.
No. Even though you were for a minute with that high D.
I can definitely do it, but I don't want to. And I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
So I'll find out early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how long you guys been shopping for a new system? Are you having tons of fun doing it? And they're like, no. How's it been so far?
Yeah.
Well, we had this one guy come out. All right, so they've had one. Cool. So how many times are you guys going to put yourself through this? Well, you're our third. So am I the last, or am I like 3 of 10? You're the last of 10. Well, then I'm totally closing it that night.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, good, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Not can we. Here's what we're going to do. Make sure you have those available. Don't show them to me. I'm going to go through all my stuff, and then let's just look at them together.
Okay.
This is going to be really confusing for you guys, because you're going to see 3 different companies, maybe 12 different ideas from 3 to 4 or 5 different guys, and then you're going to somehow take your law degree and your teaching degree and figure out the right air conditioner. Seems unfair. So later on, we're just going to go over them together. Deal? Deal. Get the commitment early on.
Yep. I love it.
Now, if they're like, you're the first of 10, I might just go ahead and hand them a price and leave. Quite honestly.
Yeah.
No, I never do that. I'll go the distance, even though I know it's futile. But
but like the time people on that one.
Yeah.
You had an answer for
I'll
it.
reset. If they're like bound and determined, no, man, my granddad always said, and you're the first of 3, I'll go, man, totally respect that, man.
Yeah.
Granddad sounds like an awesome guy. Is it a problem? No problem at all. Yeah, it's a big freaking problem. It's no problem at all. And I'll just go, great, here's what we're going to do. I'm taking about a half an hour to measure up, blah, 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 blah. I'll ask you a few things. And then when are you getting those other prices? Okay, one today, one tomorrow. Man, that's perfect, because I've got a little time this afternoon. I'm going to put everything together. And then tomorrow, can I come out at 5 o'clock? Because I just want to be the last guy. Now, I know I probably lose some, because the closer might come before me. But I just haven't quite mastered. I could teach it. Like, I know the 3-bit objection.
Yeah.
What criteria are you using to choose it? I know all of it. But I just, for me and my personality and where I'm at in my sales career at this moment, I'll only use that stuff if I'm like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot, I forgot earlier to figure that out. And now I'm the first of 3, and this guy's a great guy, and he does honestly want to do his homework.
Yeah.
And I had one the other day, and I knew he was going to get other bids, and I just spaced. Yeah. And I sat down and had the best time, and it was a referral and everything else. And then he goes, this is awesome. You are, everybody, oh my gosh, blah, blah. I mean, this thing was like on its way. Yeah. He had picked the system, everything. And he's like, but I just got to do and I'm like, oh my God, you literally said it. Your personality totally is that guy. Yep. I totally missed it. Yep. And they're still deciding.
They're still deciding.
I've been checking in, and I'm like, man, that was all me. I just spaced out.
Yeah, well,
I should have reset.
Yeah.
And if I'd reset, I would have closed that one, for sure.
In that instance, how many times will you call that guy before you're like, okay,
yeah, 2 or 3. I'm also not like I want to make an enemy.
Yeah.
I don't mind not being friends anymore, but I don't want to make an enemy. Right. I will risk the friendship to close, but I don't want to make any enemies. Yeah. I'm not that hungry.
Right. So, you do close it. Yeah. Then what? How do you make sure that cancel? I know you said, especially if it's a little slower, you can get next day.
Yeah. We install same or next day.
Okay.
Which I think is good for people, because honestly, when I buy something, I want it now.
Yeah.
Anybody, even if they're getting what they paid for, and you're the best company in town, and the price wasn't even bad or high,
Yeah.
Everybody has buyer's remorse, almost.
Sure.
But it really helps when I get it in my hand right then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll have guys that show up while I'm still there. I'll drag my feet if I feel like it's a little shaky.
Yeah.
But I do I don't know what it's called. If it's shaky, I remember one where I could see more than one, where I could see that they signed a $30,000 deal and they were just like, I felt the tension.
Yeah.
And I've literally like, well, that's great. We're going to be here, in 2 hours or tomorrow morning or whatever the thing is, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be awesome. You're going to love it. Looks like this guy's going to be installing it, and it'll take them 2 days to do this because it includes duct, whatever it is. And so we're good. And you're like, yeah. And I'll go, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Touch her arm or just, hey, are this the table?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this? Seriously.
Yeah.
And they'll go, I'm sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
How come? That isn't a moment where you go, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, see you later.
Or you
Here's my
shouldn't
card.
you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You're gonna be scared.
Yeah.
Is God in control or not?
Yeah.
Like I release control to him for the call.
Right.
So in that moment, my job is to care for people.
Yeah.
Not to keep the sale closed so I don't lose my job.
Right.
So I literally just go, hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. You sure?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm a little nervous about this. How come? Well, it's just a lot of money.
Yeah.
I know it is a lot of money, and I wish it was like $5,000. I honestly always wished it was free, like I was government funded. I used to dream about that as a kid.
Yeah.
What if the government funded us and we just did this for free for people? How amazing would that be?
Yeah.
Right? And but I've had people just like sweating.
Yeah.
Because $10,000, $30,000 doesn't really matter the dollar amount. It's just that for that person it mattered.
Yeah.
And I'll just go, well, hey, here's the deal, man. Like, let's just not do it. Like, it's cool. If you need to say no, say no.
Yeah.
And I've never had anybody, shouldn't say this, but I've never had anybody in that moment say no.
Yeah.
They just go, no, we need to do it. I'm just being stupid. I know we can afford it.
Yeah.
Like, they resell it.
Yeah.
But you've got to give people a place to process their emotions.
Yeah.
Or else you're just a sales guy.
Right.
Are you an advisor, like
Right.
you call yourself?
Right.
Think about what an advisor actually does.
Right.
They coach us, they give us the good and the bad, they care for us through things,
Yeah.
They help us make good decisions, not stupid ones, they
Yeah.
help us keep our emotions in check or process through them, right?
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I'm processing through whether they're gonna cancel or not.
Yeah.
And even if they don't cancel, I'm helping them process through something that could become a hindrance. 'Cause even if they don't cancel, what if they're resentful of it forever?
Right.
But in that moment, I was able to go, are you sure? Because I can call the office and say, forget it.
Yeah.
You can wait, but by then they've got 2, 3, 4, 5 hours invested with me,
Yeah.
and the financing went through, and the this and the that, and they blip in that moment, and they just go, no, we're good. We do need to do this. I'm just being,
Yeah.
she's a worrywart, or he's a worrywart, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do a post sale or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
Like
post-close.
post-close.
I don't know. Yeah, post close. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
And just go, man, are you sure about this? And sometimes they'll just be, hey, huh? Are you sure about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure about it.
Okay.
And I think that's part of the whole Encyclopedia Britannica, tear up the proposal thing. You remember
Yeah.
hearing that story years
Oh,
ago?
yeah,
I don't remember who told it, but somebody did, Lon
Yeah.
or somebody. And I remember hearing about that and just being like, oh, interesting. Their cancellations went down like 80% when the sales guy would literally go, hey, are you guys sure about this? Because we can just rip this up, start to tear it, and
Yeah.
people would say, no, we're good.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I learned it. And my first sales experience as a kid, I remember, was the Encyclopedia Britannica guy coming to my house when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I remember.
Is that right?
I do, yeah. My dad bought the whole thing. Came with free bookcases. So, I mean, I didn't know, but I've been learning this my whole life.
Yeah.
So I think I do that just to help people process.
Sure.
And then I mean, obviously it's to not get cancellations, because I think cancellations sometimes are, man, it disrupts for everybody.
Right.
It makes the buyer feel like a jerk.
Right.
You can't see them in the grocery store anymore. Like, it just ruins relationship.
Yeah, yeah,
Humanity,
Sure.
So I think it helps with that.
Yeah. Kind of wrapping up.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for like new salespeople?
Yeah.
New to the industry. We just talk about it all the time. Hire green.
Yep.
Right. Hire good people.
Yeah.
And then
Build
train them up.
Yep.
So what advice would you have for those people?
I think it's confusing to look up to other salespeople and try to become them.
Yeah.
Although none of that, not that that's bad, because some of us have the personalities to do it.
Yeah.
Find out who you are,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just gotta you usually have to go out and be a lot of things you aren't.
Yeah.
But risk, it's not all about money. Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Don't close sales.
Yeah.
Go love people.
Yeah.
They need something. You might as well be the one that they buy it from. Do learn how to effectively question. Do learn how to close sales. Do learn how to price present. Like all those things, it's not like just love people and they're going to buy from you. No, that's bullcrap. If you love people, they'll feel really good about you.
Yeah.
But I mean, your job is to guide them to a decision. So, but just be real careful, the people you put on a pedestal. Choose really good mentors that are real people. Figure out how to be your absolute most authentic self while following some sort of system that systematically helps people down that hallway that everybody has to go down. And some people only have 3 doors in the hallway, and some people have 100 objections, right?
Yeah.
They don't even know it until they get into it. And be kind and help them make it that decision.
Yeah.
And that takes an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours sometimes with people.
Yeah.
Don't be a jerk, man. Like, don't expect somebody to just spend 20 grand because you're God's gift to humanity. You're not, I assure you. You've got a shadow side that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you might be good in front of people, but I would say any personality can sell. Some personalities have to stretch further than others.
Right.
You really got to care for yourself. If you're not specifically gifted or formed to be in a sales role, you can do it.
Yeah.
I've seen anybody. I've seen C's do it, D's, you name it, right? But you're going to have to stretch away from yourself for a period of time.
Yeah.
To play. It's 2 or 3 or 4 hours, whatever it is. And I find that fun.
Yeah.
But it's more my personality.
Yeah.
But going back to me as a GM, I can do that. I find it fun to fix things.
Yeah.
Companies, people, whatever, cars. But I can't do it forever.
Right.
And if I don't keep myself healthy, meaning going back and doing things that are my authentic self regularly, then you're going to wear yourself out. So the same thing with sales. They say I can't do it. I can do it. I believe you.
Yeah.
At what cost?
Yeah.
Can you remain being yourself while doing a sales system, while getting yeses, while profiting the company and making a paycheck?
Yeah.
That's the true test of it. So observe, pick up things, try lines, risk, have courage, take time before each call to level your head, and take time, this is the biggest things, 5 minutes after every call to be really rigorously honest about who you were or weren't on the call.
Yeah.
Owning your mistakes, not blaming it on the call center or the leads. It's never the leads, by the way. Yeah. It just isn't. And there's days I wish I could say that. Not to say that there can't be good ones and bad ones or whatever, but it's never the leads. But taking 5 minutes afterwards, owning what you can own, journaling it, that 5 minutes times 400 leads a year.
Yeah.
I forget how much that is, a couple thousand minutes, right? Yeah. That's the highest you'll ever earn per hour. It's tens of thousands of dollars you'll make per hour by just spending that 5 minutes of hard work on yourself.
It's good
because
nugget.
it will form you.
Yeah.
Because failure is the only thing that forms you. Success doesn't.
Yep.
You getting a yes, man, it feels good. But you getting a really difficult no, and then owning why you did, not just blaming it on the homeowner, that's what turns you into an amazing. But spend 5 minutes after every call.
I love that.
Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
You have been part of SGI / CertainPath for what? It's been
21 years.
Yeah, I mean, like what?
21 years, April 1st.
Life, basically. I mean,
that's kind, but close.
How has the organization shaped you and impacted you?
Gosh, man, how? Geez, Bob. You can like edit this 2 minutes out, but I was talked into joining something to find my full potential, or to become a millionaire, or whatever my ego motive was. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And then I just got surrounded by people that actually poured into and cared for this rug rat that really wasn't a grown-up at 27.
Yeah.
I just thought I was. So how? Challenged, loved on, hung out with.
Yeah.
Never the popular kid, but got to hang out with people that were like me.
Yeah.
And, I can remember Lon sitting down at lunch with me, one of the first things. And, the Lon Castle sat down, you don't know.
Yeah, right.
And he looks at me and he goes, "What do you think this is, couscous or something?" And I'm like, and Kelly laughed and we're like, "We have no clue." And he's like, "I ain't eating it," or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And, he poured into us over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Abrams poured into me. Abrams would always give his cell phone number out.
Yeah.
And then you know how he'd always say, only like one or two of you ever calls. I was the one or two of them that
Yeah.
I called him, and he'd always call me back within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Just so many guys, man, and women. And Rebecca is like, loved me enough to give me a position and put up with me because I'm a brat. And I want what I want, but I also, I was a brat working here because I'm still just in process as a human being, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to be a coach.
Yeah.
You get to have me as a coach. I got to be a coach here.
Yeah.
And I got to stand on that stage and fulfill something that I remember seeing some of the greats do and go, "Holy crap, did you just strap a mic to me and now I got to go out there?"
Right.
And listen, it's this every time. I never knew what I was going to talk about. I just kind of I didn't even know. I just pray. I'd stand backstage. I'd pray and go, "God, I don't know why you've got me here, man.
Yeah.
Why'd you choose me?" Kind of like Moses or something, right?
Yeah.
And I would peek the curtains open. Nobody could see me, and the room's like buzzing, everybody's getting their seat,
Yeah. Yeah.
And the energy, and you hear the frigging chimes in the hallway, and my heart's like beating out of my chest, and I'd go, "God, man, look at all these people, man. Like, these are your sons and daughters.
Yeah.
They're aunts and uncles, and they're here going, I'm about to go out of business.
Yeah.
Or I have a dream for my kids to take, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm about to go out there. Just please give me the words to say."
Yeah.
And so you guys gave me a place to grow up, gave me, father figures and mentors, and just a family that allowed me to fail forward.
Yeah.
And pick me up and keep me together.
Yeah.
Fulfill some wild dreams, houses and cars and all this stuff that really didn't matter. I just didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
But also just friendships and people. I mean, I can't even hardly focus because all the faces that walk by are like,
Yeah.
you should see them in the background. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to focus. I just want to give them a hug. But it just helped me grow up.
Yeah.
Formed me. There was a furnace at sometimes. It was a soft place to land at other times.
Yeah.
And gave me a chance to get on stage and give back. And I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
How? As family.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was so happy to see you come back. And I was like, we got to tell this guy's story. I know we've done something with written stories, but I'm like, I know the passion you have, and I'm like, people are going to connect with you. And you're part of this. You're part of this family. You've been with it so long. So
I'm glad I am.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So thanks for taking all this time to sit with me, Jared.
It's a gift, man.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Love you, dude.
Love you too.
The Successful Contractor podcast is part of the CertainPath family. CertainPath builds successful home service businesses and has for 25 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of 1,000 plus strong. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With CertainPath, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com for more information.